In just a moment, we take you to the Chicago Stadium for the third game of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks.
The Stanley Cup Playoffs. Brought to you by Imperial Oil Limited. On behalf of Imperial Esso dealers and Imperial Esso agents from coast to coast.
Hello, Canada hockey fans in the United States. Bill Hewitt from the Chicago Stadium, high up on the second balcony on the south side of the stadium. The ice surface is running east and west. And for the first period, the Toronto Maple Leafs will defend the west side to my left, and the Chicago Blackhawks the east side to my right. Just announcing the players who are taking part in this third game of the Stanley Cup Finals. They had difficulty fixing the net. That's the net that Bauer will defend for the first period. And it's from that end of the ice that the Leaf players will come out. And the Chicago Blackhawks at the east end.
Number 6, Reggie Fleming, left wing.
The referee is Eddie Powers, number 1. He's already out on the ice and has been out there for about the last 4 minutes. The ice looks like it's going to be very fast for this all-important game between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Toronto Maple Leafs. With the Blackhawks looking for their first victory in the Stanley Cup Finals. Here come the Maple Leafs. That's the west end, and they're wearing their white sweaters with the numbers on the elbow. Here come the Chicago Blackhawks. Glenn Hall leading his team out on the ice for this first period. The linesman are Matt Pavlich, striped jersey number 5. Neil Armstrong with striped jersey number 8. Chicago Blackhawks are wearing the dark sweaters. First 2 games were in Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, and the Leafs were wearing dark sweaters and Chicago light, and now it's reversed here in the Chicago Stadium. Chicago Blackhawks in the dark sweaters, the Maple Leafs in their new white sweaters with the numbers above the elbows for better identification. Going to be a capacity crowd. They're 3 deep in both balconies here at the Chicago Stadium tonight for this third game of the series. Now the teams are going to their respective players' benches. Leafs are getting set to get their players at center ice. They've got Mahavlich out there with Kelly, possibly Stewart, Horton, and Stanley. Fleming is going to start with Horvath and Nestorenko, and it looks like Stan Laurent is going to play on the defense with Evans. Now here's the national anthem.
On behalf of the Toronto and Blackhawk players, please refrain from throwing any debris upon the ice. Such debris could result in a serious injury to a player. Thank you. And now our national anthem by Bernard Izzo, accompanied by organist Al Melgard.
Christ and bright
set now to start the first period. Leafs to my left, the Blackhawks to the right. And the Chicago fans are almost up on their feet before the game gets started. The lights have dimmed over the balconies, and everybody is concentrating on the ice surface now as we get set to start this first period. With referee Eddie Powers stopping the puck, Kelly is dumped. It goes to the boards. Fleming tried to clear it in. He does. Horvath was in over the blue line. It's cleared out on a delayed whistle. A pass for Kelly over the Chicago line. He fell. Mahovlich's getting a chance, and it got away from him. Horvath cleared it out over the line. Horton stops it, shoots it back. And it's Horvath, number 9, over to Evans, number 5. Evans ahead for Nesterenko, too far. Stanley moves up. It deflects into the Leaf players' bench on the far side. The Maple Leafs wearing white. Chicago Blackhawks in their dark sweaters. Late 28 seconds of the first period. There's no score in the game. Third game of the Stanley Cup Finals. Leafs leading in the series 2-0. Here's a chance for Horvath. A shot. It's going high. It's going over the glass. And it's caught by a spectator. Face-off will be where the deflection was made. There's the puck. Just inside the Maple Leaf blue line. Allard St. Laurent's moved up, then he moves back again as Kelly gets the puck but falls. Goes against the boards, and Horton takes it. He passes it over to Stanley. Stanley at his own blue line. Up the center ice, a long shot. Off the boards, Glenn Hall tipped it. Fleming, a pass behind the Chicago goal to St. Laurent, number 19. St. Laurent's marched by Mahovlich. It goes out to Fleming at the blue line. Fleming to Horvath. Up at center, over to Nesterenko, over the blue line. Nesterenko couldn't get around Stanley, but he hooked the puck loose to Fleming. Fleming was checked by Bauer. Horvath is jammed into the boards by Horton, and Stewart comes back. Only to have St. Laurent clear it back to the Leaf blue line. Horton ran into Fleming. St. Laurent was checked by Kelly, and Horton shoots the puck into the Chicago zone, and Glenn Hall stops it. Mahovlich watching Nesterenko. Gets it ahead. Horton took a whack at it from the blue line as Fleming and Horton bumped together. St. Laurent cleared it out to center ice. A race for it. Nesterenko going after it. He touches it. Offside. Offside. As Bauer made the save. Now it was offside inside the Chicago blue line. Coming up to the 2-minute mark in the first period. No score between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Toronto Maple Leafs in this first period from the Chicago Stadium. Keon with Armstrong and Duff facing Hay, Hull, and Murray Balfour is wearing a helmet tonight. Bobby Baugh, a cleared pass to Keon. Back for Baugh. He's grabbed by Balfour. Hay flicks the puck into the Maple Leaf zone, and it's Brewer back for it. Brewer off the boards to Armstrong. Armstrong is hit by Hay, and Keon clears it out and hit the linesman. Bobby Hull takes a shot. Keon broke his stick. Armstrong, a pass over for Duff. Out over his own blue line, and Murray Balfour got back. Hay then clears it right to Brewer. Brewer missed a check, and the puck goes into the Leaf zone, bounces to Bauer. Bond gets the rebound. Into the corner. Man into Bobby Hull. And it's Duff clearing it out on the left wing. Keon and Palat. Puck is cleared high. Bobby Hull coming over to the wing, ran into Bobby Bond. 2 Leaf players went down. Keon is given a bump. Bobby Bond is then hit by Hull. There's going to be a penalty called. Bobby Hull coming to the penalty box. And that's the first penalty of the game, and it goes to Bobby Hull of Chicago.
Chicago penalty. Hull, 2 minutes for high sticking.
High sticking.
At 2:41.
.241. High sticking to Bobby Hull. The Leafs have the odd man. It goes back from Keon to Kelly. Kelly in his own zone goes behind the Leaf net and stops there. Now he starts out. Pass over to Duff. Duff up the center, takes a long shot into the Chicago zone. It bounces. Armstrong deflected it, and it goes over the glass into the crowd. Faceoff comes outside the blue line as it had deflected off the Leaf player's skate. And we've passed the 3-minute mark now in the first period, and there's no score. Keon, Duff and Armstrong, Horton and Kelly, Fleming, Turner, St. Laurent and Evans for Chicago. All set to go for the face-off. The puck is dropped. It goes into the Chicago zone, and Evans has it, number 5. Evans shoots it off the boards down the ice. Kelly let it go. Horton goes back for it. Horton. He hit St. Laurent. Keon. And Armstrong over to Duff. Over the Chicago line. Duff trying to go in, and he's too well covered by Evans. St. Laurent's checked by Armstrong. Turner. Watched by Armstrong. They jam against the boards, and they hold it there for a face-off. Approaching the 4-minute mark in the first period in about 25 seconds. St. Laurent and Evans are replaced as Vasco comes out on the defense with Pierre Palat. Fleming and Turner remain out there on the forward line. Litzenberger, Pulford, and Nevin. Kelly and Horton back at the blue line. 4 forwards and 1 defenseman. All set for the face-off in the Chicago zone to the right of Glenn Hall. That's the east end of the Chicago Stadium, and it's cleared down the ice by Turner. Bauer stops it for Horton. Horton clears it behind the net for Litzenberger. Litzenberger back to Horton. Horton starting out. Pass over to Nevin. Nevin at his own blue line, up the center ice with Pulford and Litzenberger. A shot, bounces. Glenn Hall made the save, and it was cleared to the blue line. Kelly kept it in. Turner finally shoots it out. Going back for it is Horton. Behind the Maple Leaf goal. Now he comes out in front with a pass to Nevin. Down the right wing, over the blue line, back to Kelly. Kelly tried to roll it in front. Pierre Palat had him covered. Palat is bumped, then Turner ran into Pulford. Kelly bumps into Palat, and they start jamming there. And they all start shoving. They're still jamming there in the corner. Bobby Hull is still in the penalty box. Fleming goes over to the penalty box to check on the time. All set for the face-off. No penalties were handed out on that exchange. And the face-off is in the Chicago zone to the left. Fleming out there with Turner, Palat and Vasco, Keon, Duff and Armstrong, Brewer and Bond. On the face-off, Duff back to Bond. Bond takes a shot wide of the net. It goes into the corner. Duff steals the puck. He and Keon. A pass for Keon. He missed it. Bond moves up with a shot. Duff gets a hold of it. Takes a shot right on, and Glenn Hall caught that. And the face-off is in the Chicago zone to the right. That brings Balfour out, along with Billy Hay. 7 seconds remaining in the penalty to Bobby Hull, or at least that's what they indicate anyway. The clock, the penalty clock here at the Chicago Stadium has stopped. All set to go for the face-off in the Chicago zone. The puck goes to Billy Hay, number 11. He shoots it around on the boards. Bobby Bond tries to trap it in there. He does. Takes his shot. It was wide of the net. It comes back to the blue line. Brewer let one go. That hit the side of the goal. And Pierre Palat comes up with it. A pass ahead to Bobby Hull. Up the center ice. Over the line. A shot wide. And the puck goes to the blue line. Billy Hay kept it in there as Bond ran into Bobby Hull. It's the Leafs now with Brewer. Working his way out, a pass off the boards, goes down, Keon goes after it, and it's offside. It was taken over the checkered line in Chicago territory from a pass that came from inside the blue line. We played about 5 minutes and 13 seconds of the first period. There's no score in the game. Chicago and the Maple Leafs meeting in this third game of the Stanley Cup Finals. And from the face-off, the puck is back to Bobby Hull over to St. Laurent. St. Laurent shoots the puck into the Maple Leaf zone, and it's Brewer. He's dumped. Bauer poked at it. Brewer then ran into Murray Balfour, and Armstrong on the right wing, a pass stopped by Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull turns. Coming up to the Leaf line and over. Balfour took his shot. That's wide. Armstrong, the rebound. Couldn't get it out. St. Laurent gets set. He shoots. And he shot it wide. Duff gets the rebound. Duff passes for Keon. Evans moves up. Keon ran into Balfour. Hull is grabbed by Bobby Hull. And the puck comes back to blue line to St. Laurent. St. Laurent takes his shot to Bobby Hull into the corner. He passed it up in front of the net. A shot. And Murray Balfour backhanded one wide. Duff couldn't get out. Armstrong can't get out. Blackhawks keeping it in. A pass over here to St. Laurent, number 19. He takes his shot wide. And Armstrong of the Leafs, a flip pass for Duff. Duff pokes it for Keon. And Keon dumps. And Brewer turns in his own zone. And the Leafs are hemmed in. Brewer couldn't get out. Bond is jammed in on the boards. And the Blackhawks are putting on tremendous pressure. A long shot, and Bauer stopped that. Brewer beside his own goal. Cleared past Armstrong. Armstrong gets it to the blue line, but not out. Billy Hay took a shot, and Armstrong intercepts. Up the center ice. Up over the line. And a pass from Mahovlich as he came over the boards, failed to collect. Stan Mikita out on the ice now. Nestorenko turns. Mahovlich watches him. But Nestorenko gets away from him. Then Mahovlich catches up to him. Then Nestorenko gets over the line. Into the corner. Bond ran into him. There's going to be a penalty. Here's Evans shooting at it. Bauer made the save. Here's Kelly going down the ice with Stewart. It's going to be called back. And a penalty handed out. Bobby Bond of the Leafs for ramming into Nestorenko. Number 21 will get the gate. Here he comes over the penalty box now. Number 21, Bob Bond of the Maple Leafs.
Toronto penalty.
Chicago the odd man advantage.
Charging at 7:06.
Charging at 7:06. The official time of the charging penalty to Bond. So they have Horvath, McDonald, Bobby Hull, Pierre Palat, Stan Mikita, facing Bob Fulford, Bob Nevin, Tim Horton, and Alan Stanley. And from the faceoff, Bobby Hull over to Stan Mikita. Shot. Bauer caught that, and he held on to it for a faceoff. Faceoff is in the Maple Leaf zone to the left. Chicago playing every man up. All set for the faceoff in the Maple Leaf zone. Stanley gets the draw, but it comes back to Mikita. The shot, and that's wide. Pierre Palat keeps it into Bobby Hull in the corner. He's jammed. It goes to Nevin. Nevin of the Leafs cleared it, but not out. Pierre Palat then back to Bobby Hull. He's jammed in on the boards again, this time by Horton. Pair of sevens. Then Horvath is knocked down, and it's Nevin bringing it out. Nevin shoots the puck into the Chicago zone. Stan Mikita. Watched by Nevin. Goes out to center ice, and Fulford takes it. Fulford deflects it, and it goes over the glass into the crowd back of the Leaf players bench. That means a change of players for Chicago, sending out Billy Hay, and this game is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium. On the face-off here, Palat, number 3, moves up for Chicago. A pass to Bobby Hull over the blue line. He's bumped by Horton. The puck goes into the corner. Rebounds behind the goal, and Fulford picks an opening and shoots the puck down the ice. No score in the game at the 8-minute mark of the first period. Scoreless tie. Stan Mikita was checked by Fulford. Now then, Bobby Hull will try it. Up to center ice. Over the line, offside. Stan Mikita went in ahead of him. And the face-off will be outside the blue line, called by linesman Matt Pavelich, number 5. According to the penalty clock, which is in front of us, but is difficult to read, looks like 45 seconds left in the penalty to Bobby Bond. Hay with Melnick, now number 12 on the forward line, and Bobby Hull, Mikita, and Palat. 4 forwards, 1 defenseman, no score in the game. Up for Stan Mikita, over to Melnick, over the line, closing in, a pass for Pierre Palat, and Horton broke it up. Melnick is checked again, and Fulford then finds an opening and shoots the puck down the ice. Going back for it, Pierre Palat, number 3. He passed it out on the left wing to Stan Mikita. He's checked, and Fulford goes back for it. Fulford backhands the puck back into the Chicago zone. Approaching the 9-minute mark now in the first period in 5 seconds, and there's still no score in the game as Chicago, having a man advantage, come down the ice. Hay with Hull over the line. A pass over to Mikita. Mikita takes his shot. Bauer stopped that, and Stanley gets it out to Fulford. Fulford then shoots it down the ice, and Bond is back on the ice, so it'll be called for icing. This game is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium. Face-off in the Maple Leaf zone to the left of Bauer. Played about 9 minutes and 14 seconds of the first period. A scoreless tie. The Leafs wearing white. Chicago Blackhawks in the dark jerseys as the home team here at the Chicago Stadium. It's Dave Keon now coming out for the Maple Leafs to his own blue line. The center, a pass to Armstrong. In with Duff. Armstrong tried to get around Saint Laurent. Keon helps him out with a backhand into the corner. And Hull comes up with it. Hull flicks it off the boards to Balfour. Balfour a clearing pass on the wing for Saint Laurent. Bond ran into a check from Saint Laurent. And it's Hay, a clearing pass to Balfour on the right wing. He passed it but not out. Keon, a pass for Duff. Evans being watched by the Leaf player. A clearing pass around the boards. Comes back to Bond. Bond gets set. Shoots it around on the boards. Behind the net, Armstrong. Armstrong of the Leafs is jammed out of the play by Evans. And Hay, number 11, a pass to Hull. Brewer intercepts and gets it to Keon, who came back. A pass for Armstrong. Then to Duff. To Armstrong. Armstrong was turned around by Mikita, and the puck goes back to Bond over on the left wing to Brewer. He gets over the checkered line and flips a bouncer. Glenn Hall let it go. Balfour fell down. Nearly lost his helmet. And it's Mikita up the center ice with Balfour on his right. Over the line for Mikita. He tried to pass it back. Keon broke it up and flicks it out over the line to center. Bobby Hull has it handed back to him. Over the line. Bobby Bond ran into him, and then Duff kicks it out to center ice. Saint Laurent then shoots it back and hit Bond. And Duff and Armstrong now combined. Armstrong, a pass for Keon. He takes a long shot that's stopped by Glenn Hall. And we have 9 minutes and about 10 seconds remaining in the first period, a scoreless tie. Brewer, a pass to Bond. Bond's shot deflected off a skate. Stewart goes back for it. Stewart, a long pass for Kelly, and it went right down the ice. Glenn Hall's going to let it go. It goes wide of the net, touched by Horvath, number 9, and it'll be called for icing. Face-off in the Maple Leaf zone to the right of Bauer. That's the west end of the Chicago Stadium. For this first period, there's no score in the game. On the face-off, the puck goes to the boards, and it's Kelly. Behind the goal, a pass over on the wing to Mahavlich. Mahavlich fell. Horvath took the puck away from him, passed it out in front, and Stanley broke it up, cleared it right to Palat. Palat to Nestorenko. Nestorenko right in front of Fleming, and Fleming waited too long, and Stewart comes out with Mahavlich. A pass for Stanley. Palat breaks it up. Left it for Vasco, was covering up, and then Palat took it away from him. Palat a pass over to Fleming. Fleming a long pass for Horvath. It bounces into the lead zone. Stanley gets it before it crosses the red line. It goes to Horton. Horton off the boards to Stewart. Stewart relayed it for Kelly, but Kelly couldn't get to it. Horvath, a pass for Nesterenko. Over on the right wing. Back for Fleming. Kelly broke it up. And Kelly comes back. Horton trailing. Over the line. A pass from Mahavlich to Kelly. Kelly trying to center it. He did right in front of the net. Horton passed back to Stewart. A shot. Oh, and he shot it wide as it deflected wide of the Chicago net. It's Vasco coming out now to center ice. A pass over here to Fleming. He's over the line. Takes his shot, and Bauer tipped it off to the side. Mahavlich coming back for the Leafs. Down the left wing. He's bumped by Nesterenko. Cleared back into the Leaf zone. Horvath a pass to Fleming. Fleming passed it out in front of the net, and Stewart gets it for the Leafs. A long pass for Mahavlich. Going up over the line. A drop pass to Kelly. Kelly stops, takes his shot wide. Brewer moves up. He whacks it, and it bounces off the glass. Stewart couldn't center it. Nesterenko comes up with it with 7 minutes and 6 seconds remaining in the first period. No score. Nesterenko hit by Pulford. Palat carries on, trying to get a shot. Pulford tried to break it up. He did. Litzenberger out on the right wing. He's hit by Makita, but the puck goes back into the Chicago zone. Vasco to Palat. Cleared it out. Litzenberger knocked it back in again. A delayed whistle as Fleming, a clearing pass on the right wing, goes astray. Brewer, a pass for Nevin. Goes into the Chicago zone, and Vasco's back for it. Vasco, number 4, behind the net. Cleared a pass into the corner to Fleming. Fleming along the boards, out for Makita. Deflects down the ice. Touched by Brewer. It'll be called for icing as it was cleared from the Chicago side. 6 minutes and about 28 seconds remaining in the first period. No score in the game. Chicago Blackhawks no score. The Toronto Maple Leafs no score. This is the third game of the Stanley Cup Finals. There's been 2 penalties in the game handed out by referee Eddie Powers. 1 apiece. On the face-off, the puck comes back to Brewer. Here it gets Zipper's shot. It hit a leg and goes down the ice. Going back for it is Bond. Bond, number 21, behind the Leaf goal. A pass over to Brewer. Brewer off the boards for Litzenberger. Evans had him covered. Litzenberger then took the puck and shot it into the Chicago zone. Stanley Rawls hit by Pulford. Pulford is knocked down. They go against the boards, get their skates caught on the puck, and it's called immediately. But because the Chicago player's skate was on the puck first, the face-off is in Chicago territory to the right of Glen Hall, at the east end of the Chicago Stadium. And on the face-off, and it's getting pretty hazy in the stadium at the moment with the spectators allowed to smoke. Here comes Makita to center ice up over the Leaf line. Makita waits, still waits. He's hit. McDonald takes a shot, and it's deflected wide. Makita goes down, and it's Litzenberger. A pass to Brewer. Brewer's hit by Warham, number 17. He's out there with McDonald and Makita. And Evans comes back up for Chicago. Up over the line, breaks through the defense. A pass for Warham. Couldn't get a shot, and Keon steals the puck. Gets away from Makita, but then had McDonald take it away from him. McDonald, number 14. He passed it over on the wing. Talleyrand gets it. A pass for McDonald on the right side. McDonald watched by Duff. It came out in front of the net. Pass over to Keon. Keon up over the Chicago line. Tried to break through. He did. He took a shot, and that was stopped by Glenn Hall. Armstrong failed to keep it in, and it's a 3-man break for Chicago. Alford over the line with a pass for Bobby Hull, and Keon breaks it up. Down with Armstrong. Duff trailing over the line. Armstrong takes his shot wide. Duff gets the loose puck, cleared it in front of the net, and Bobby Hull comes back. Up to center. Lost it to Bond, who cleared it back out at center ice. Now then, Chicago over the line again. It's Pierre Palat getting set to shot. That hit Bond. Palat against the boards. Tried to kick it. It's Armstrong getting it out to center ice. A pass to Duff on the left wing. He goes over the line, takes his shot. Glenn Hall juggled it, and Palat gets the rebound. 4 minutes and about 18 seconds remaining in the first period. A scoreless tie. Bobby Hull cruising in, couldn't get a pass. Keon shot it off the boards, but not out. Murray Balfour cleared it in front of the net, and Stanley gets it out to Keon. Keon up to the Chicago line. Shot the puck into the corner. Mahavlich is now out there. Pierre Pulata pass on the right wing for Balfour ahead to Hay. Hay comes up to the Leaf line. A pass to Bobby Hull over the line. It's knocked back and cleared out to the blue line. Mahavlich trying to get down the right wing with Kelly. He got over the line, but couldn't get any further as Murray Balfour had him well covered. Stewart failed to steal the puck in Chicago territory. Palat clears it. It's left there. A pass back from Stewart to Kelly. Back to Stewart. Stewart took his shot, and Glenn Hall caught it and held on to it for a face-off. Three minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the first period, a scoreless tie. No scoring in the game so far. Capacity crowd here at the Chicago Stadium. On the face-off, the puck goes into the corner. Kelly cleared it behind the net, and Elmer Vasco, the Moose, is after it, number 4. Left it for Nestorenko, number 15. Nestorenko is partially dumped by Mahavlich, but gets his play to center ice to Horvath to Pilat. Up over the blue line. Here Palat, a pass right to Mahavlich, and Mahavlich to the Leafs turns. He tried to clear it out for Kelly. Kelly's too well covered. Palat a pass to Fleming. Martin knocked it off the boards out to center ice, and Palat gets it back to Vasco. Vasco passed over to Nestorenko to Horvath. Mahavlich watching him. Then Stanley ran into Fleming. Here's a chance for Nestorenko. He gets his shot. That's stopped. And it's Stanley, a pass over on the wing. It's stopped by Chicago. Horvath brings it offside. Fleming just couldn't get out in time. He tried, but it was quite fast enough. So we have a face-off and a change of players, and this game is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium.
For the right tire with the right guarantee, get Atlas tires.
All set for the face-off. 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the first period. No score in the game as Pulford just failed to get loose. Evans took the puck back into his own zone. Saint Laurent cleared it out to McDonald. Number 14, here's Kenny Warren going in. One man to beat. Took his shot. Brewer fell on it. And the face-off is in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. As long as he doesn't grab it with his hand, players can fall on the puck after a shot. Now then, the Blackhawks are moving into Leaf territory for the face-off. To the right of Bauer. On the face-off, Nikita got it back, but Lissenberger couldn't get it out for the Leafs. He finally did. Saint Laurent bumped into him. It's Evans. A pass to McDonald. Over on the right wing to Kenny Warham with McDonald and Nikita over the line. Warham, a pass for Nikita. That was dropped by Lissenberger. Lissenberger to Pulford. Up over the Chicago line. Took his shot. Glenn Hall stopped it. Shot it into the corner. 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the first period. And it's Mikita coming back to center ice for Chicago. A long shot wide. Litzenberger then ran into Mikita. Up the ice for Pulford to Nevin. He deflects the puck over the line. Teams are starting to tire. Litzenberger brought it into the Chicago zone. Over the blue line. Way offside. And we have a minute and 50 seconds remaining in the first period, and no score in the game between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's Keon with Duff and Armstrong. Stanley and Horton on the defense. Billy Hay at center ice for the Chicago Blackhawks. Murray Balfour on the right wing with a helmet. Bobby Hull on the left. Pierre Palat and Elmer Vasco. Dick Duff hits Palat partially, and the puck is cleared into the Maple Leaf zone. Bauer leaving it for Horton. Horton, a clearing pass to Duff, is deflected out to center ice. Now then, Hay brings it back for Chicago. Hay takes his shot. Bauer stops that, and he holds on to it with Horton and Balfour off to the side. 8 and 7. Chicago Blackhawks are wearing the dark sweaters, the Maple Leafs in white. And a capacity crowd. They're 3 deep behind both balconies here. This telecast coming from the second balcony, south side of the Chicago Stadium at center ice. All set for the face-off. Duff was coming into the circle, so they're waving him out. All set to go. The puck is dropped, and Keon gets it back of the Leaf goal. 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining in a scoreless first period. A long pass for Duff on the left wing, and it's offside. A long pass from inside the Leaf blue line was taken over the checkered line. One stride, and of course that's offside. Dick Duff, Dave Keon, and George Armstrong all lining up for the face-off now inside the Maple Leaf blue line. Hay gets it back to Palat over the blue line. Palat moving up, took a shot. Bauer stopped that, and Horton ran into Stanley, but Stanley comes up with it. Stanley a long pass over to Armstrong. Armstrong couldn't get away. Foul to Hay. Hay fanned on it, but gets it over the line anyway, and it goes into the corner on the opposite side. There was nobody covering Stanley. A pass for Duff goes down the ice.
1 minute to play in the period.
Less than a minute to go in the first period. There's no score in the game. A pass off the boards. Hull ran into Armstrong, jams him against the boards. Armstrong fights for the puck. It's shot down the ice by Chicago. It's going to roll over the red line. It'll be called back for icing as linesman Matt Pavlich holds up his arm in the face-off with 45 seconds and the remaining in the first period is in the Chicago zone to the left of Glenn Hall. Two teams are changing players. It's Red Fleming coming out with Bronco Horvath on the forward line, Nestorenko as well. Jack Evans and Dollar Saint Laurent. Mahavlich with Red Kelly and Ron Stewart. Carl Brewer and Bob Bond back at the blue line playing inside. All set for the face-off in the Chicago zone. Puck goes to Horvath, number 9. He skates in behind the Chicago goal. Just makes sure of it by flicking it down the ice, but he flicked it too hard. It's sliding to the red line. It goes over, and it'll be touched and called back again for a face-off, and there's 32 seconds remaining in the first period. And there's no score. Stewart is taking the face-off for the Maple Leafs with Evans of Chicago. Puck is dropped. Stewart didn't get the draw. It was cleared out by Chicago to center ice, and Brewer turns at center. Gets over the red line, ran into Fleming. The puck goes in over the line, knocked out to Brewer again at center. A pass for Mahavlich on the left wing just failed to click. It goes in. 17 seconds remaining in the first period. Evans comes out for Chicago. He's stopped. Mahavlich turns. Mahavlich trying to cut in. Tried to pass it back. Evans took it away from him. Then Nestorenko and Mahavlich had a private feud. Brewer ran into Horvath. It goes down the ice to Bauer. He touches it. There goes the horn. And the first period is over. And there was no scoring in the first period. 2 penalties. Hull of Chicago for high sticking at 2:41. Bond of the Leafs for charging at 7:06. And so at the end of the first period, the score is the Chicago Blackhawks, no score, and the Toronto Maple Leafs, no score.
You're sure to find better cars on better roads, more places to see, places to be. You're sure to find a great new sense of confidence. Drive anywhere, never a care, because your Imperial Esso dealer is right with the times. Your Imperial Esso dealer is right with the times.
Hello, everyone. This is Ed Pitkin up here in the Grand Canyons of Chicago Stadium with Scott Young. And, Scott, what should we look for in the second period after this scoreless first period?
Well, Ed, I think there are a couple of interesting sort of man-to-man checking jobs out there that are worth watching. There's one, Keon versus Makita. Keon and Makita, both good young centers, are sort of contenders for all-star center honors in the league this year, and Keon has been very successful against Makita, but in this rink where Rudy Pillis, the home coach, has a chance to make the last change, Imlach can't always keep Keon out there against Makita. The other thing is Nesterenko and Mahovlich. I always like to watch that because every time Mahovlich gets the puck, Nesterenko sort of joins arms with him like in the old days to the skater's waltz, you know. And he does a real good job on checking him, too.
Very good, Scott. Now we'll watch for Makita and Keon and Mahovlich and Nesterenko's personal battles and the other things. And now here's Ward Cornell.
Good evening, everyone. Ward Cornell here, and happy to have as our first guest the coach and general manager of the Leafs, Punch Imlach. And Punch, you'll be going into the dressing room. Do you speak to them as a group or as individuals or what?
Well, usually I use the group idea. Once in a while I get mad and then I go to the individual, but most of it is usually done as a group and let them take out what they think applies to them.
Could you give us a little preview of what you're going to say this period?
Well, I thought that our team weren't skating as well as what they have in the first two games, but we seem to be able to survive that onslaught that they put at us in the first 10 minutes. They were really going as Chicago club, and I thought our team rather played well defensively, but offensively we aren't skating, and I think once we start to skate, well, I think we'll be a little bit harder to handle.
Punch, this terrific bipartisan or this biased crowd in Chicago, partisan crowd, do they have a tendency to affect the players to slow up a bit or not skate as hard or maybe hit as hard?
Well, there has to be some element, we'll say, of a psychological aspect in it, but I don't really think that it bothers the players. To me, it's who wants to win the most is going to make the difference, and if our team wants to win hard enough, well, then they'll play hard enough.
Punch, a lot of people feel that the Leafs are skating harder and hitting harder in this final series than they did against New York. Now, was that part of the strategy, to maybe build up to this series?
Well, actually, against New York, we weren't able to hit. It seemed that every time we tried it, we would end up in the penalty box. So, in this way, well, it's better not to hit and stay out and try to win the games. Because if you're in the penalty box all night, you're in trouble. You can't expect to win.
Punch, once the game is on, your responsibilities of coaching, do you try to juggle the lines much? Like, who are you trying to get out against whom tonight?
Well, all I'm trying to do right now is to get them all skating, and I'm not actually trying to play any line against anybody. After all, this is their home game, and they can tell I have to put my lineup out first, and they put theirs out second, so they can counter with anything they want. But we're quite satisfied the way it's going.
When a player starts a game, he's nervous, but once he starts, he's okay. What about a coach?
Well, I'm still nervous, and I probably will be until this one's over, and I hope it's over in the right side anyway.
Fine. Thanks very much, Punch Imlach. I know you want to get to the dressing room.
Right, thanks.
And now our next guest coming in to join us here, brother of Max Bentley, Doug Bentley, and Max was with us last week. Nice to have you with us, Doug.
Nice to be here.
How about this game? You enjoying it?
Well, real, I'd say it's really a good game, and I think they're just feeling each other out right
now. Now, Doug, this year, you came out of retirement and played out in the Western League. Now, how come you played?
Well, I was, first I started out as a scout, and then I was down there, and 3 or 4 of the players got hurt, so I decided to put my uniform on. So I took over, and I played 12 games. I don't think I played enough just quite to get the rookie award.
I hear you got a few votes, though.
Yes, I got a couple.
Doug, how old are you?
I'm 45.
Actually, how did it feel? Did it feel pretty good?
Well, it was a little tough at the start, but after I got going, well, it was not too bad.
What's the reaction to hockey out in Los Angeles?
Well, it seems to be going pretty good. Now, take, for instance, the last game. They figured on about 4,000 people. 13,700 showed up for the last game. That didn't mean a thing, and they hollered and screamed the whole game, and you think they were playing for the Stanley Cup.
Is that right?
Yes.
Do you think that eventually they might have an NHL entry out there?
Well, I don't see how it can miss in a few years. I wouldn't want to say when they'd have it.
Well, since you came out of retirement, what about brother Max? Do you think he should be coming out?
Well, I don't know whether they get enough pills for Max or not, but if we can get enough pills from him, I think he might come out.
Yeah, a lot of people say he'd still be the best point man in the game.
Yes, I think he can be, and he can right now.
Doug, you, of course, run with your brother and Bill Mosienko on the great line here in Chicago. Now, is that line, have you ever played together as old-timers at all or anything?
No, this winter I got with Mosienko out at Vancouver at the old-timers game, and Clint Smith played center. We didn't have enough pills to send Max, so he couldn't come.
What line did you play against?
We played against Smith, Bauer, and Dumart, and they played very good. I was surprised. They even back-checked, and you're not supposed to back-check in the old-timers game.
No, that's not hardly fair.
Yeah, that's right.
When you were in the league, Doug, who was the player that sort of gave you the most trouble in terms of bumping and so on?
Well, there's a lot of tough ones, but I know the strongest one, when my first year, I mixed it with Bingo Campen in the corner, and I turned on him a little bit. I wanted to show him I had a little spunk, and he just picked me up and threw me over the boards, and I lit on my shoulder, and I was in the hospital for about 3 weeks.
So you sort of stayed away from Bingo and the other big boys after.
Yes, boy, I cut wide.
And Doug, your loyalties in this game, I suppose, are towards Chicago?
Yes, I'm pulling for Chicago all the way, that's for sure.
And what do you feel about this game?
Well, right now, I just say, like I said before, that they're feeling each other out, and it can go either way. It's so close. That's how close it is the first period anyway.
Good. Thank you very much, Doug Bentley, for chatting with us.
Thank you.
Now, coming in, no stranger to you, the general manager of the Detroit Red Wings, Jack Adams. How are you, Jack? Nice to see you.
Fine.
Well, what's your feelings of this game?
This was a great hockey game. I thought that first 10 minutes that Chicago had the Leafs backed up. They hit everybody that moved, and but it's real playoff hockey, and that period proves it's the greatest game in the world.
And what about the series so far? Have you felt it's all been up to the excitement of that first period?
I think Chicago played a little better in this period. I think the 2 days rest did them a lot of good. They seemed to tire in Toronto. Of course, I've only seen it in television, but they seemed to tire. And this period, that, as I say, the 2 days rest, and they hit everybody come up there. But Toronto took it all, and Bauer came up with a big save in that power play. A big save. He kicked it out with his foot, and our pal Gump and I were talking about it. That was a game saver, that one.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Jack. And maybe the Red Wings will be in here next year.
I hope so.
Speaking of the Gump, we're happy to have him with us tonight, Gump Worsley. And Gump, everyone feels that your series against the Leafs was the best you ever played. How did you feel about it?
Well, I think that is the best I've ever played in a playoff series, Ward, and except for the last game, of course, that we got beaten 7-1. But other than that, I think that our team as a whole played real well, and of course, with a couple of breaks, maybe we could be still playing.
Is it possible to sort of put your finger on why you felt you had such a good series?
Well, it's hard to say. You get in a game and
you're just hot.
That's it. Sometimes, if you could find the solution to that, you'd be hot for 70 games in all the playoffs. But there's no solution for it whatsoever.
You were particularly tough on Keon. I mean, you were able to cope and contain him very well when he had some breakaways. Any reason for this in particular?
Well, I think the reason a lot of people say I was tough on Keon was the simple reason he had more chances than the other players on the Maple Leafs. But if you take it, other than that, I had a tough time with a lot of other ones, too, as the scores would tell.
Well, now, on his breakaways, well, what was the secret there, to get him to commit himself?
Well, it's a secret on every breakaway, whether it be Keon or anyone, is to make them make the first move. Of course, if you're playing goal, that's the main object of the whole thing. If you can make them move first, well, you have them more or less beaten.
It was a good example in the time that when Mahavlich, he was able to deke you there.
Well, I made the first move. I anticipated what I thought he would do. He did the exact opposite, so...
You can't win them all.
Yeah, but it's nice if you can win the last one. You know you're Stanley Cup winners.
Yeah, that's right. What kind of a glove do you use, Gump?
Well, it's a model off of a baseball mitt. It's a trapper model used by first basemen in baseball. And it's,
how did it start?
Well, it started through that. I think Frankie Brimsek, if I'm not mistaken, was the first one to ever use them, and everybody took off from there.
Gump, if you were playing tonight for either of these two teams, which of the defensive units would you like to have in front of you?
Well, from over the year and of tonight, I'd have to say Toronto. They played definitely the better defensive part. Of course, Chicago's defense weren't pressed too much in this period, I thought, and I think that maybe they'll show.
Why would you take the Toronto defense? What are they better at?
They're better at clearing pucks, and you'll see a man standing in front of the net. He's not going to stand there too long, and he's going to be out of there too. And I think that is a good sign. And all the teams did that, as Mr. Adams will verify that if they can keep that front of the net clear, there'll be a lot of less goals scored.
Gump, who do you feel is the hardest shot in the league?
Well, I think every team has 2 or 3 men that can really fire that puck. You got Bobby Hull out here tonight. You've got Horton out here, Mahavlich. You got Gordie Howe. You put Jeffrey on, Beliveau, our own Andy Bathke, Pennington, and Moens from Boston. They all got him.
Well, Gump, you'll be picking our 3 stars, so we'll certainly see you later tonight, and it's going to be a tough one to call because there are a lot of good performances.
Well, if it stays like this, it's going to be tough, I'll tell you that.
Good. Thank you very much, Gump Worsley. Thanks also to our other guests. And in just a moment, Bill Hewitt and a play-by-play of the second period.
Time was when these were needed for a tough floor cleaning job. Not anymore. They went out with flappers. Now all you need are a couple of cloths, steel wool, and Varsol, because your Imperial Esso dealer is right with the times with products for the home, too. Varsol is deodorized. It's the inexpensive all-purpose household cleaner. It's excellent for cleaning hardwood floors and plastic or ceramic tiles, useful in many other ways as well. Esso Handy Oil is another product to keep by you for squeaky cupboard hinges and children's bikes or trikes. And to put a finishing sparkle to your spring cleaning, wipe away the dullness from mirrors and glass with Atlas Glass Cleaner. And get your power mower and outboard motor in good running order. Esso Outboard Motor Oil is designed for two-cycle mowers like this one and for modern outboards. It comes in a graduated container which shows gas and oil mixture. Last but not least, there's your car. If winter driving's been tough on the finish, brighten it up for spring with Atlas Easy Polish and Cleaner. Get ready for spring and summer. Look to your Imperial Esso dealer. You'll find these products and many others at the sign of Happy Motoring.
Your Imperial Esso dealer is right with the times.
Quite cold and windy, but clear in Chicago. This is the third game of the Stanley Cup Finals, with the Leafs leading in the series 2-0. There's no score in this particular game. It's been a grueling battle. Indicative of the close checking is the fact that the Chicago Blackhawks outshot the Maple Leafs 8-5, showing the number of chances that the two teams had in the first period. And when they did have their opportunities, the goalkeepers were able to come up with the key saves. Neither team looked overly dangerous when they had the odd man advantage, and it started quite quickly as referee Eddie Powers sent Bobby Hull to the penalty box for high sticking at 2:41. And although the Leafs used 4 attackers and 1 defenseman, they were unable to break through. Then Bobby Bond of the Leafs went for charging at 7:06, and while he was in the penalty box, Chicago Blackhawks, although they seemed to have better scoring opportunities, could not beat goalkeeper Johnny Bauer. Both Johnny Bauer and Glenn Hall have been outstanding in the first period. Referee has been Eddie Powers, the linesman Matt Pavlich, wearing striped jersey number 5, and Neil Armstrong, number 8. Third game of the Stanley Cup Finals from the Chicago Stadium, which is jammed to the rafters, and I do mean the rafters because they're 3 deep behind me up in at the end of this second balcony. Same applies to the first, and what they call the mezzanine is completely jammed. And the horn has just sounded for the teams to come out on the ice now for the second period. And for this second period, Chicago will skate all the way from the east end down to the west end as Bauer comes from the west-east. And this telecast is coming to you from the second balcony, south end of the Chicago Stadium. Chicago will defend the west end to my left. Toronto Maple Leafs, the east end to my right. And here come the Chicago Blackhawks now out on the ice. And oddly enough, as soon as the teams get out on the ice, they turn the lights out up on the balcony here. So we're in the dark, but our visibility is good. And now then, referee Eddie Powers calling the players to center ice. There goes the whistle. And we'll start the second period after a scoreless first period. Just a question who will start now this second period. They've been skating true to form in this first period. Dressed and wearing sweater number 16 for the Chicago Blackhawks, but not seeing any action as yet, Marcetta. Kureluk is not in the lineup tonight. Also, Murphy is out of the lineup for the Chicago Blackhawks. And for the Maple Leafs, they have Arbor not dressed, nor McMillan. And Bert Olmsted is dressed for the Maple Leafs, but has not seen any action as yet. All set now, Horvath, Fleming, and Nestorenko. Facing Kelly, Stewart, and Mahavlich. Alan Stanley and Tim Horton on the defense. Saint Laurent and Jack Evans for Chicago. And from the face-off, the puck cleared by the Blackhawks. Horvath comes in over the line, takes a backhand 5 feet wide of the net. Fleming takes a whack at it. It's shot near the Leaf goal, and Kelly comes up with it for the Leafs. Kelly now starts out with Stewart on his right. Mahavlich is watched. Stewart gets over the line, gets his shot, and Glenn Hall stopped that. Glenn Hall seemed to have difficulty with his left pad, but he has it straightened around now. Evans is watched by Stewart. Clears it behind the net into the corner. Mahavlich bumps into Saint Laurent. Here's Stanley moving up. He kicked at it. He couldn't get a shot. Saint Laurent again with it. Clears it off the boards for Fleming. Fleming a pass to Nestorenko. Up the center ice. Mahavlich goes after him. Skates him off. They tangle a little bit, but nothing serious. And Kelly comes out with a pass for Stewart. Kelly carries on, but just shoots it right to Saint Laurent of Chicago, who cleared it back to Fleming. Fleming is hit by Horton, and Stanley flicks the puck down the ice. It hit Saint Laurent's stick, so Evans goes back for it. Evans starts out number 5, a pass over to Fleming, number 6 at center ice. He fanned on a pass for Nestorenko, but gets it over the line on his second try. Nestorenko in the corner, back to Fleming. Fleming's pass in front goes to Stanley, ahead to Mahavlich. Mahavlich away from Fleming, over the line. Saint Laurent bumped into him. Evans ran into him the second time, and that stopped him right there. Nestorenko coming up the center ice. Up over the Leaf line. Stick handling wide of the net. Goes behind the goal. Passed it right in front. Horvath couldn't get to it. And Fleming missed a great chance. Stanley, a long pass for Armstrong. Over the line. Back to Duff. Duff gets set. Takes the shot. Wide. Armstrong missed the rebound. Duff gets it again. Tried to pass it back and is knocked down a second time. A pass from Saint Laurent to Fleming over the Leaf line. Fleming still has it. Horton jams him in on the boards. And Horton and Fleming rough it up a little bit. Play is called. Horton and Fleming were mixing it up, and referee Eddie Power says that's enough of that. And into the penalty box they go. Fleming of Chicago, Horton of the Leafs. Double penalties. The teams will play 5-a-side. There's no score in the game. 2:03 looks like the time. We'll wait for it officially.
Chicago penalty. Fleming, 2 minutes for roughing at 2:03.
Roughing penalties to Fleming and Horton at 2:03. Face-off is at the rim of the circle in Leaf territory. The teams are playing 5-a-side. Vasco back at center ice for Chicago. Passed it back to Palat. Palat in his own zone at his own blue line. Up the center ice with Hull on his left. Hull over the line. Hull cutting in. Pass it right in front to Hay, and his shot hit a skate. Bobby Hull gets it again, a shot. Bauer stops that. Billy Hay clears it back to Palat. Palat getting set, takes his shot, went into the corner. Hay tries to get it loose. Passed it, Keon knocked it out to center ice. It comes back to Hay again. He goes back into his own zone. Cleared it out to Palat. Palat with Hull over the blue line. Hull takes his shot. Bauer caught that. Armstrong fell into the boards. He fell over something. Comes back to Palat. Palat takes his shot. It hit Brewer. Vasco lets it go, and that's wide. Palat moves up again. Whacks it against the boards. Brewer flicks it out to Keon. A two-man break. One man back. Going down with Armstrong. Vasco. Keon takes his shot, and Vasco fell in front of it. Back for Palat and Hay. Up over the Leaf line. Back to Palat. Palat back to Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull left it there. Keon bumped into him, and Brewer goes down the ice. Brewer up over the blue line. Fakes the shot. Passed it for Keon, and Keon couldn't go in. Back up the ice for Hull. Away from Nevin, over the blue line. Takes his shot, and that's wide. Palat overskated it, but then gets it to Hull again in the corner. Back up to Makita. Makita let his shot go. Bobby Hull with a whack at. And Vasco into the corner behind the Leaf goal. Makita goes after it. Pass it back for Palat. And Brewer intercepted the second pass, but handed it right back to Palat. A shot. Bauer stopped that. Makita trying to get in front, and Pulford comes up with it. Pulford up the center ice for the Leafs. Takes his shot. That's wide. Makita handed it to Pulford as Horton and Fleming get back on the ice. Now then Kelly comes over the boards. Also Nevin. Mahavlich is also out there. Kelly, a pass right in front of his own net. Stanley, a flip pass. McDonald intercept for Chicago. A pass to Makita, and Makita couldn't center it. Bauer whacked at it. Mahavlich couldn't get out. McDonald has it for Chicago. Back to Palat. Stopped by Stanley. In front of the net. Score! Dan Makita. And there's papers, fedoras, everything all over the ice. Balloons. There's some balloons. And it's 1-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks. Stan Makita. And that's his 6th goal. He now has 17 points. He's only 3 away from tying the most points record held by Gordie Howe, established in 1954-55 against the Leafs and Canadiens, 20 in all. Gordie Howe had 9 goals and 11 assists.
Chicago goal, and he now has 17 points in Stanley Cup playoff series. 3 points short of the all-time playoff record by Stan Makita. Assisted by Captain Pete Palat and Ab McDonald at 4:35.
4:37. Makita. I believe it was Palat and McDonald. We'll wait for an official from the press box. Difficult to hear the PA system. But if I heard it correctly, it was Makita from Palat and McDonald at 4:37. Stan Makita's 6th goal of the playoffs. And they're still scraping up the ice. Chicago now lead by a score of 1-0, and this game is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium.
To thin paint, remove spots, clean floors, buy Esso deodorized Varsol.
Players are still skating around while they scrape up the ice. Deluge happening after that goal by Chicago. Stan Makita. The official time is 4:35. 4:35. Makita from Palat and McDonald. The official time of the goal, 4:35. Chicago won. Toronto Maple Leafs no score in the second period after a scoreless first period, and Makita caught the bottom left-hand corner just inside the left goal post on the left side of Johnny Bauer. So Chicago lead 1-0 as we start play again at center ice. Beautiful goal by Stan Makita. All set to go. Horvath with Fleming and Nestorenko. Kelly with Mahavlich and Stewart. Horton and Stanley. St. Laurent and Evans for Chicago. The attendance is 16,666. Mahavlich is knocked out of the play. Puck is in the Chicago zone. Nestorenko failed to get it out. Kelly trying to get a whack at it. Horton kept it in. Horton is dumped. Puck goes to Nestorenko. Nestorenko ahead for Horvath. Horvath was Fleming. They're over the line. Fleming into the corner. Pass it back in front of Mahavlich. Turns. A long pass for Stewart. Stewart with Kelly and Mahavlich. A pass for Mahavlich. It's offside as Mahavlich went in over the blue line about 3 strides ahead of the pass. We've reached the 5:15 mark of the second period. Chicago won. Toronto Maple Leafs no score. Face-off is outside the Chicago blue line. Horvath is over at the Chicago bench getting a new stick. All set for the face-off now outside the Chicago blue line. The puck is dropped. Kelly had it on a skate, lost it. Goes back to Horton. Horton moves up with a long shot. It's deflected wide. Laid around on the boards. Nestorenko, a pass out to Horvath. Horvath to Stanley up over the leaf line. Stanley was given a bump. It's near the Leaf goal, and Kelly comes up with it, number 4. Kelly, a pass stopped by Horvath. Back to St. Laurent, a shot. Bauer caught that. He left it. Nestorenko stole it from Stanley. Passed it out in front, and it's Nestorenko trying to catch up with Mahovlich. Stewart comes over the line. He took his shot. He was knocked down by St. Laurent. St. Laurent rubs his head. Stanley whacks it back to Mahovlich. Over on the wing to Stewart. Back for Mahovlich. It goes into the corner. It's cleared to the blue line, and Stanley lets it come to center ice. Then he shoots it back in again. St. Laurent brings it out with a pass to Nestorenko. Up over the line. Nestorenko watched by Stanley. Stanley flicks it into the corner. Stewart was checked. Nestorenko passed it out in front of the net, and Horton deflected it with a skate, but comes up with it. Horton at his own blue line, up the center ice. Up over the Chicago line. Tried to go through. He ran into St. Laurent and Evans. And the puck goes into the corner. Horvath, a clearing pass that goes out over the line. Brewer at center ice for the Leafs, number 2. Brewer cruising in over the line. A pass back to Duff. Duff takes a shot. Glenn Hall made the save. The rebound to Fleming. Fleming is checked. Armstrong to Keon. Keon tried to pass it out in front. Still has it. Right in front to Duff. He shoots, and he shot it wide of the corner. Armstrong, a pass right in front of the net. It comes back to Brewer. Brewer ran into Nestorenko. Goes over the line, up to Horvath, over the line. Pass to Fleming. Fleming shot hit Vaughn. Duff takes a long shot. And there's going to be a holding penalty handed out to Brewer. Brewer of the Leafs gets the gate. Holding penalty. And it comes at the 7:15 mark of the second period.
Minutes for holding at 7:15.
7:15. A holding penalty against Brewer. Leafs are playing a man short. Chicago have the odd man. They lead 1-0. That brings out Hay with Hull and McDonald. Palat and Makita. Leafs are going to use Nevin and Horton, Stanley, Stewart. All set for the face-off. The puck goes back to the Chicago blue line, and it's Stan Mikita leaving it for Palat. Palat comes up with a pass to McDonald into Hay. Hay goes over the line. Closing in, takes his shot way wide. And Stewart cleared it, but not out. McDonald, a clearing pass to Hay. Hay tried to get it in front. Horton broke it up and shot it off the boards and the linesman to center ice. Bobby Hull now, a pass to Hay. Hay along, pass to McDonald. McDonald takes his shot, and Bauer caught that one on his shoulder and covered up. Face off to the right of Bauer this time in the Maple Leaf zone. East end to my right. Approaching the 8-minute mark in 15 seconds of the second period. 1-0 Chicago Blackhawks. Stan Mikita 16th from Lee 6th from Palat and McDonald at 4:35. And his 17th point. So he's only 3 away. Bobby Pulford has gone to the Leaf dressing room. Number 20. We'll try to find out what's happened to him. Puck goes into the corner. It's Stewart. A pass off the boards for Keon. Keon missed a check from Hull. Palat and Hay cover up, though, in the Chicago zone, and it's Billy Hay behind the Chicago goal. He ran into Makita, at least into Palat, who fell, and Makita gets back quickly and heads up to center ice. Up over the Leaf line for Stan Mikita. Took a shot. That deflects to Hay and along the boards. He passed it back out to center ice, and Stewart races after it. Going over the line. They're going in. Stewart right in on goal. He shoots. And Hall made the save. Stewart had a break on the right wing, and Hall outguessed him. Now a rubber ball has been thrown out on the ice, picked up by the linesman. Face-off will be outside the blue line. It's Duff and Armstrong out there with Horton and Stanley. Hull, McDonald, and Horvath. Palat and Hay. Still using 4 forwards and 1 defenseman. 1-0 Chicago Blackhawks. As McDonald passes it back to Hay, over to Palat. Palat gets over his own blue line to center ice. Up over the blue line for Chicago. Pierre Palat, a pass for McDonald. He scored! And that makes it 2-0. Scored with Brewer in the penalty box. And it's now 2-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks. There's a fedora out on the ice, along with some streamers. And paper cups. We're waiting for the official announcement on the goal. Here comes
McDonald.
McDonald. That's his 4th.
Assisted by, for his 2nd point tonight, Captain Pete Palat. And Red Hay at 8:33.
8:33. McDonald from Palat and Hay. Sounded like 8:33, so we'll wait for it. I get an official confirmation on that goal. But Makita scored his 6th from Palat and McDonald at 4:35, and then McDonald from Palat and Hay at 8:33. And it's 2-0 now for the Chicago Blackhawks in the 2nd period. All set for the face-off. Shack comes out on the forward line with Brewer and Olmsted. Brewer is going back to the defense. And Harris is out there. Harris with Shack and Olmsted as the forward line. Score is 2-0 Chicago. On the face-off, the puck goes back to the Chicago line. It's cleared over on the wing. Out on the left side for Hull, stopped by Bond. Bond ran into Bobby Hull. Clearing pass over the line. Shack kept it in. Olmsted was knocked down by Saint-Laurent. There's going to be a penalty there. Saint-Laurent gets the gate for Chicago. Saint-Laurent of Chicago gets the gate. Face-off will be in the Chicago zone. Number 19, Saint-Laurent in the penalty box.
Chicago penalty. Dolly Saint-Laurent. 2 minutes for tripping at 8:51.
8:51. Tripping penalty to Saint-Laurent. That brings out Keon with Armstrong and Duff. Horton and Kelly at the blue line. Chicago lead 2-0. All set for the face-off in the Chicago zone. On the face-off, Keon passed it back. Play is Kelly taking a shot wide. It goes to Armstrong. Armstrong back to Horton. Here's the shot. And Hall stopped that. Turner clears it off the boards out to center ice, and Kelly passes to Keon. Back up over the Chicago line. Back to Armstrong. Armstrong over to Kelly. It went off his stick. Turner trying to get it out. Duff Shot it around the glass. Armstrong from the opposite wing, number 10, has it. Back to Horton. He took a shot. Duff let it go, and it was wide. Turner lifts it at the blue line, but not out. Finally, it goes out. Armstrong back to Horton. And Horton skates back into his own zone. A long pass to Armstrong to Kelly. With Duff. Duff takes the pass. Palat covering him. Duff passed right in front of the net, and Vasco intercepted it and shot it down the ice. Coming up to the 10-minute mark in 12 seconds of the second period. 2-0 Chicago. Horton coming out with a long pass for Duff. Over his stick. Palat is watched by Duff. Keon takes his shot. It's deflects wide. Horton moves up, takes his shot. Right on. Glenn Hall stopped that. Armstrong a pass to Duff. Duff a pass right in front of the net. Stopped by Palat. Kelly couldn't get it. Finally checked the Chicago player. Then Turner comes up with it again and shoots it out. Horton goes back for it. Number 7. A pass ahead for Duff. It went down past his stick. In over the red line. Palat touches it. It's called for icing and a face-off back in the Maple Leaf zone. 2-0 Chicago, and this game is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium.
It's the right time to spruce up your car with Atlas Polish and Cleaner from your Imperial Esso dealer.
Face-off in the Maple Leaf zone to the left. 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the second period. It's 2-0 Chicago. Kelly gets the puck in the corner. Cleared it behind the Leafs goal, and Horton comes up with it. Horton gets away from Fleming, ahead to Harris. Harris up the center ice. Over the line to Horton. Horton took a shot, gets it again. Pass it back for Stewart, and hopped over his stick and goes down the ice. Back for it is Kelly. Kelly coming back to center ice with Stewart on his right. Over the line for Stewart. Stewart takes his shot. Glenn Hall made the save. Kelly went after the rebound. Vasco tipped it behind the goal. Harris, a pass right in front of it to Stewart. He shoots it. It deflects back to the blue line. St. Laurent's back on the ice. Stewart took a whack at it. Nestoreko offside. He took the puck over the checkered line at center from a pass inside his own blue line. It was offside. 8 minutes and 46 seconds remaining in the second period. 2-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks. Third game of the Stanley Cup Finals. Leafs are leading in the series 2-0, but the Blackhawks are leading in this third game 2-0. Chicago outshot the Leafs 8-5 in the first period. All set for the face-off. Stan Mikita and Bobby Pulford, who's back in the lineup. Pulford, a pass back over here on to Brewer. Brewer shot the puck into the Chicago zone, and St. Laurent, number 19, back for it. He passed it over to McDonald. He lost it. Pulford passed it in front. It goes to the opposite wing, and Kenny Warham is back for it. Kenny Warham flicks into the corner the opposite side, and it's St. Laurent clearing it out to Mikita. Mikita goes over the line with Kenny Warham. He takes his shot. It stopped at the blue line. At the defensive shot out over the blue line to center ice. Evans was checked by Pulford. It goes back to St. Laurent. St. Laurent hit for Mikita. Mikita to Warham. Over the line. Ran into Bond of the Leafs. Bond gets up slowly. The puck rolls over the blue line. It's shot in again. Bond getting up very slowly on that play. Brewer up over the Chicago line. Is bumped into the boards. The puck is behind the Chicago goal. Evans trapping it against the mesh. Nevin trying to poke it out in front of the net. McDonald is checked by Litzenberger. Then Nevin gets it, takes his shot right on, and that was stopped by Glenn Hall, and Mikita gets the rebound out to McDonald, and Brewer cleared it, but not out. It's finally called on a delayed whistle. That was a delayed whistle on an offside at the Maple Leaf blue line. Seven minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the second period. Chicago 2, Toronto Maple Leafs, no score. Face-off is inside the Leaf, at least outside the Leaf blue line, with Billy Hay at center ice, Bobby Hull on the left wing, Balfour on the right. Vasco and Palat on the blue line. It's up for Chicago. Palat gets over the leaf blue line. Flipped it right through for Balfour, and Bauer made the save. And Hay was knocked down. A long pass for Keon up the center ice, going over the line with Armstrong that took the pass to shot, and Hall stopped that. Balfour, a pass to the blue line, stopped by Stanley, but they get it out, and Balfour comes down over the line. Tried to go around Horton. Horton knocked him into the board. Stanley nearly lost it to Hay. Hay finally gets it. Cleared a pass that hit Keon. Keon comes back to center ice. Up over the line, tried to break through Palat. Palat and Duff bump together. They hold it against the boards. Balfour comes up with it. A pass to Hay. Hay is checked by Armstrong. Armstrong was in turn checked. And Bobby Hull turns at his own blue line. Up the center. Takes a long shot. That's wide. Duff. A pass for Keon. Keon tried to poke it to Armstrong, and Vasco just shoots it. Duff brings it in offside. And it's offside at the Chicago line. This game is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium.
The right way to run your lawnmower or outboard motor is with Esso Outboard Oil.
Chicago 2. Toronto Maple Leafs no score. As Horvath with Fleming and Turner over the boards for Chicago. Facing Harris, Shack, and Olmstead. On the face-off, Brewer flips the puck into the Chicago zone, and it's Palat going back for it. Harris tried to beat him to it. They jam in against the boards, and they hold it there long enough for a face-off. Face-off is going to be in the Chicago zone to the right. 6 minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the second period. Chicago 2, Toronto Maple Leafs no score. Shack took a whack at a puck that went over top of the Chicago net into the corner. Harris trying to center it. Goes behind the goal. Pass it right in front of the net, and Fleming comes back for Chicago to center ice. Up over the blue line. Fleming took a shot. Bauer made the save. Horvath skated off by Harris, but Horvath comes up with it again. Bond took it away from him. And it's Harris down the right wing. Up the center ice. Up to the Chicago line and over. Horvath gets back to cover up. Horvath is bumped by Olmstead. Horvath carries right on over the blue line. A flip pass for Turner, and Brewer breaks it up. Brewer at his own blue line, up with Shack. Brewer to center, takes a long shot that bounces wide of the Chicago net, and it's Vasco back there for it. Off the boards to Turner. Turner is partially checked by Olmstead, but the puck comes out. Bobby Hull gets away from Brewer. Vaughn bumped into Bobby Hull, then Turner moves up. Kelly skates him off. It's right out in front of the net, and Bauer just deflected at the last moment. A clearing pass at the blue line. Shack ran into Palat. And there's a penalty to Shack. Shack stuck his leg out on Pierre Palat and gets the gate. Number 23, Shack in the penalty box.
Shack, 2 minutes for tripping.
A tripping penalty.
14:55.
14:55 is the time of the tripping penalty to Shack. That means that Hay is out there with Hull and McDonald, Pierre Palat and Stan Mikita. Two 0 Chicago as we get set for the face-off. It's back to Bobby Hull. He takes his shot. That's wide. Stan Mikita moves up. His pass to McDonald goes to Hay. Hay centered it in front, and it goes to Pulford. Pulford shooting it down the ice. 4 minutes, 50 seconds remaining in the second period. 2-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks. It's a clearing pass to Stan Mikita. His pass to Bobby Hull stopped by Nevin. Pierre Palat will try it. Skates back behind the Chicago net where he stops. Now then he starts out again with a pass on the left wing to Hay. Hay a pass back to Hull. It bounced over his stick, but he gets it again. Gets in over the leaf line to McDonald. McDonald tried to pass it. Gets it again. Pass to Hull. Takes his shot. Here's Hay taking a drive at it. Another shot. And that was stopped by Bauer. They're all piled up in front of that Leaf goal. There's Bauer coming up with it. Right in the goal crease. And Billy Hay right there to try and whack in the rebound. Chicago 2, Toronto Maple Leafs, no score. 4 minutes and 17 seconds remaining in the second period. All set for the face-off in the Maple Leaf zone, the left of Bauer. Brewer and Bond, all set. Brewer gets the draw, passed it back. McDonald whacked at it for Chicago along with Hay. Bearing it back to Makita. Makita back for Hay. It went by him, but McDonald goes after it. McDonald of Chicago back to Hay and went behind his skate. Makita moves up. Keon couldn't get it out. He goes to the corner. Armstrong shoots it down the ice. And it's Glenn Hall out of his net, just shadowing the puck as Pierre Palat is watched by Keon. And Stan Makita. A pass to Palat. Up to his own blue line, up the center ice. A pass over to Hay, over the line, getting around Armstrong, into the corner, behind the net. Pass it out in front with McDonald, and it's Brewer breaking it up. Brewer skating up to center ice, up to the Chicago line. Passed it back, and Makita covered up and passed to Hull on the left wing. Up was stopped by Bond. Then Palat shoots the puck into the Leaf zone, and Armstrong stops it. Armstrong found an opening, but Bobby Hull knocked it down. McDonald keeps it in with him. Hull again is partially blocked, gets it again, takes his shot, and that's wide. Ab McDonald passing into the corner to Makita. Right in front to Hull, and Hull was hit. Then McDonald took a shot, another shot. Bobby Hull another one, and gets set again for a shot. Armstrong covering him, and finally it's Shack. Knocked down by McDonald. Keon goes over the line. Stops. Pass for Shack. Shack after it. Lets his shot go, and Glenn Hall stopped it. 2 minutes and 33 seconds right in front of Shack. And Shack's shot was stopped by Pierre Palat. Goes into the corner. Evans watched by Shack. Evans starts out with a pass to McDonald. Out to Makita. With Bobby Haller over the line. Makita still has it. He's knocked down. Goes over the blue line, and Nesterenko being watched by Mahavlich. Nesterenko coming back, though, number 15, up over the Leaf line. Pass back to Hull. Kelly covered him. Hull still has it. Over to Makita. Takes his shot. Bauer stopped that. Now it's Bond with 2 minutes remaining in the second period. A pass to Kelly. A pass to Stewart. Fleming broke it up. Then Bond moves up the center. Fleming took it away from him and shoots it back in again, and Bauer stopped it. 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining in the second period. 2-0 Chicago as Brewer goes to center ice. Fakes a shot. Fell. Harvath comes back for Chicago over the blue line. Passed it over to Fleming. Fleming tried to relay it in front. Fleming lost it to Stewart. Stewart from Mahavlich too far, and it goes down to the Chicago blue line. Evans to Nesterenko, ahead to Fleming. Up over the Leaf line. A drop pass for Nesterenko. Nesterenko's shot was wide. Harvath the rebound off the boards. Back to Evans. Evans took a shot, and Nesterenko missed the rebound. There's another shot, and Bauer caught that and held on to it with Fleming right beside him. One minute and 8 seconds remaining in the second period. 2-0 Chicago. Face off in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. Fulford with Nevin and Litzenberger, Stanley and Horton, Makita, Warham, and McDonald. With Saint Laurent and Evans. And from the face-off, Makita gets it back to Saint Laurent. Saint Laurent took a shot. Bauer stopped that. Makita flipped it in front of the net. And Fulford, with less than a minute to go, comes down the ice for the Leafs. Takes his shot off the boards. It came right in front of the net. And Saint Laurent takes the safety, cleared it to the blue line. Stanley playing up, shot it back. Evans covers Litzenberger. And they hold it there for a face-off in the Chicago zone with 46 seconds remaining in the second period, 2-0 for Chicago Blackhawks. Makita from Palat and McDonald at 4:35, and McDonald from Palat and Hay at 8:33 of the second period have been the scoring plays. 2-0 as the puck goes to the corner in the Chicago zone. It deflects out in front. Litzenberger took a shot, and that was wide. Warham passed it right behind the Chicago goal, and Saint Laurent. Clearing pass goes all the way down the ice. Bauer let it go. Touched by Stanley. It'll be called for icing. And a face-off back in the Chicago zone to the left of Glenn Hall. 2-0 for Chicago. Face-off in the Chicago zone to the left. 27 seconds remaining in the second period. Evans and Saint Laurent are leaving the ice. Replaced by Palat and Vasco. All set to go for the face-off. The puck is dropped. McDonald gets it to Makita. Makita coming up at center over the line with Warham, who took the drop pass. His flick shot right in front of the net. Stanley fell. Horton tried to cover up. He was checked. Puck is still behind the net. Makita right in front. Warham took a shot. He hit the post. Kenny Warham hit the post. It's back to Palat. Palat shot it to Makita. Makita fast right in front of the net. And Warham missed that. 1 second remaining in the period as Nevin bumps into McDonald, and there goes the horn to end the second period. With the Chicago Blackhawks doing everything but add to their total. And so at the end of the second period, the score, the Chicago Blackhawks 2, Toronto Maple Leafs, no score. This third game of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Toronto Maple Leafs is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium.
Say, the warm weather's coming up. It'll soon be time to see more of Canada. And the best way to see it is by car. If you're planning any trips this summer, remember to use the Imperial SO touring service for free maps with marked routes. But before you take to the open road, your car also needs attention, like a spring changeover and tune-up. Tune-up or travel, you can use your SO-matic credit card wherever you go. And of course, here's the perfect traveling companion, your SO dealer's spring special. This vinyl-covered, leather-lined travel bag. You can pick yours up on the spot or through this handy mail order form. Wherever you see this display, the price, just $5. These services, these products, are just another reason why we say...
Your Imperial SO dealer is right with the times.
Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs are facing a 2-0 deficit as Chicago Blackhawks are really pouring it on here tonight in Chicago Stadium. Scott, going into the third period, what should we look for this time?
Well, I think we can look for two things. The Toronto Maple Leafs have been pretty badly pushed around in this game here tonight, and there's no sign that I can see in these first two periods that they're going to be able to fight back. That is, Chicago is still out bumping them, beating them to the puck, doing just about everything that makes a winning hockey game. Hit the crossbar there at the end. They could be a couple of goals up.
This home ice makes quite a difference.
Yeah, it certainly does, and the home crowd. I think what we can look for in this period, one, there might be increased use of Shack and Olmsted because some of the Leaf regulars who've played very well so far in the playoffs are not playing well tonight, and I think Imlach will mix up his lines a bit. Another thing, they'll have to take chances. This might result in either goals or goals for the Hawks.
Well, I think we got plenty to look forward to in the final period, and now here's Ward Cornell.
Chicago Blackhawks last period, part of the Leafs. Happy to have with us the general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks, Tommy Ivan. And Tommy, I suppose this is the first moment that you've really not happy in this series.
Well, you'd have to say so. When you get in front, naturally you feel a little better than when you're behind.
Tommy, I'm going to ask about Rudy's techniques in between periods. Did he talk to the team as a group or individuals or what?
Oh, yes, a little bit. Naturally, if there's somebody that's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or missing a check, or not covering up, or probably not skating, it could be a lot of things. Naturally, you're going to try and correct them if you can.
Now, I was going to, the next question I'd planned to ask, it doesn't seem to make much sense after this period, but up until this particular game, did you feel, or some people feel anyway, that Blackhawks psychological barrier against the Leafs? Now, would you agree with that or not?
What do you mean by psychological
Well, that they
barrier?
don't play as well against Toronto as they do against Montreal.
Oh, well, of course, we just got over a hectic series, and I'd say we played pretty well last game in Toronto. We made 2 or 3 mistakes, but the first period here tonight naturally was close checking. It opened up a little in the second period. I think both clubs opened up a little bit. But I think the reason for you thinking that, Ward, is that we haven't had much luck in Toronto.
That's true.
I think that's the reason why a lot of people think that. But when you come through a hectic series the way we did against Canadiens, you're bound to have a little bit of a letdown.
Now, what do you feel?
When I say that, I'm not taking anything away from the Toronto club. I don't mean it that way.
What do you feel has been, aside from perhaps the effect of the home crowd, but is there anything else in your attack tonight that seems to, well, be stronger or more importantly done than it was last Thursday?
Well, I would say we're hitting a little more and playing a little rougher, and I think that's in our favor tonight.
I'm going to take this microphone from you now, Tommy. The other one broke down on us. Thank you very much for chatting with us. We'll see you later during this series.
Thank you.
Tommy Ivan, and now our next guest moving in, Mr. Max Bentley. Well, Max, how do you like this one as compared to Thursday's?
Well, this looks like just the opposite, Ward, tonight. The first period was really close checking, but that period the Hawks really opened up and scored 2 goals, and now they're 2 goals up, and it's going to be hard to get them back.
Do you feel that there's, aside from the hitting hard, do you think there's any one player that's giving any more leadership this time or not?
No, I think the whole Hawk team, they're really up for this game. Of course, the Leafs are playing well, too, but that one big break, the first goal, changed the whole complexion. Then the Leafs had to open up to try to get it back, and the Hawks got another one.
Max, when we were talking to your brother Doug earlier, we were talking about the possibility that, you know, you're really in shape to play the point. Now, do you really think you are?
I sure wished I was, Ward.
You were out to practice the other day with the Leafs. How did it feel?
Felt pretty good, but I'm pretty stiff right now, I'll tell you.
Is that true? Who were you playing with?
Well, I was practicing with Bert Olmsted and Eddie Shack and Hillman, a few of the boys.
I hear Billy Harris had a great comment to make. What was it?
Well, I guess when I skated out in the ice, he says, not another centerman.
Poor old Bill. I noticed that they've created a line tonight with Eddie and Bert and Billy in center.
Yes, they when the Leafs were down, they started to use this line a little more.
It seemed to check quite effectively, too.
Yes, I think Bert Olmsted, he'd really helped their club if he did some playing.
Max, when we were chatting the other night on television, we didn't get around to the famous anecdote about you and the horse. You won a horse once in a hockey game, didn't you?
That's right, Ward. It happened against Detroit one night, and Lumley was hurt at the time, and we were tied 1-1, and Mr. Hempstead came up behind me. We were waiting for the teams to return, and he said, if you score a goal in this next shift, I'll give you a horse. So I was fortunate enough to score the goal. Maybe I wasn't, I don't know.
You started into the horse business.
I got the horse anyway.
Max, one last question. The crowd here in Chicago tonight, is this the way it was when you were playing here?
Exactly the same, Ward, only I think they used to throw a little more stuff on the ice then.
Good. Thank you very much for chatting with us, Max. And now our next guest is first-string catcher for 5 years with the Chicago Cubs, Sam Taylor. And, Sam, it's nice to have you with us. Tell me, are you a hockey fan?
Well, since last year, I seen my first hockey game here in Chicago when Chicago and Detroit was playing, and everybody I talked to said I seen a real thriller from my first one. But I tell you, I'm seeing a real thriller tonight, too.
You like the game, Sam?
I like it very much. When I'm home in the wintertime, I catch a lot of them on Saturday on TV, and I sit there and watch them just like I'm sitting right there watching them in person.
What do you like about it?
Well, I like to see them boys. They use a lot of body contacts, which you don't see in baseball. Like tonight, they had a fight started there, and I'm standing straight up pulling. I don't know who I was pulling for. It was just fighting.
I understand you really had a real thrill last year, Sam, when you nearly got a puck.
Well, I was sitting behind one of the goals. I'm not sure which one it was. Anyhow, one of the putts come over, and I was fixing to grab it, and some lady in front of me beat it to it, and I sort of got a little shook at that.
Yeah.
I wanted a putt for a souvenir.
Yeah, she might have been signed up for the Cubs there, giving you some opposition.
Well, she made a good stab at it, I tell you.
Do you get to know any of the Blackhawks at all? I mean, is there any mingling between ball players and hockey players?
Well, I met Buddy Hall in Red Moose, and this Red, I forget his
Red
name.
Hay?
Red Hay at the cottage where a lot of us eat, you know, and a lot of them boys get beat up pretty good. I've noticed there's cuts over their eyes and everything.
You mentioned the contact. One of the things you like about the game, as a catcher, you get a bit of contact, don't you?
Yes, especially when you got one of these boom-boom plays at home, you can get racked up pretty good.
And, Sam, when are those Cubs going to start winning?
Well, I hope we get on the winning track tomorrow and go all the way.
Good. Thank you very much. Nice chatting with you. Sam Taylor of the Chicago Cubs. Next guest, Dr. Bill Stromberg, who, and I hope, Bill, that I'm introducing you correctly here, you are the Toronto Maple Leaf doctor in Chicago. Is that correct?
Right, that's right.
Now then, how does a Chicagoan become a doctor for the Leafs in Chicago?
Primarily through the courtesy of my friend, Dr. Jim Murray. He and I have been friends now for 4 or 5 years, and it was through him that I got acquainted with the players and on the team.
Now, what about the split personality, being a Chicagoan and a Leaf doctor?
Well, to answer that, I think that Mr. Imlach put it pretty well. He said, any nonsense around here and you get traded to Rochester.
And that sort of ended it, eh?
That ended it.
Your first year, this is your first year dealing with professional
yes,
athletes.
Yes.
Now, do you find them sort of different patients, different kind of patients than you normally have?
Well, they've got a lot of go-go, and they want to get back in there. I think that they're easier to get back to work than a lot of my other patients.
Do you think they ever hide injuries?
I think on occasion they do, yes. Yes, they do.
Well, I hope that you don't have any work to do in this series.
Well, I hope so, too.
Chatting with you, Dr. Bill Stromberg.
Thank you, Arsenal.
And now our next guest from the Boston Bruins. Come on in here close, Cliff Pennington. Well, Cliff, first of all, I'd like to ask you this question. Did you notice many differences between the way these two clubs are playing each other tonight and the way these clubs played you during the year?
Well, yes, Ward, it certainly is different playing in playoff hockey. I think both teams are much more aggressive in the playoffs than they are during the season, especially in the first 2 games. Toronto were very aggressive. Not quite so much tonight. The Chicago team has seemed to have taken over a little bit in the second period and seem to be the aggressors out there tonight, Ward.
How, if a team starts off aggressively and sort of dominates, how does a team manage to master or gain mastery over the other again?
Well, I don't know, Ward. It's very difficult to say. I think that probably the breaks of a game where Chicago were hemming the Leafs in during the second period there, and then Stewart and Keon got a breakaway. And if Stewart would have given that puck to Keon, he was in the center of the ice and ahead of him. He would have had a little better shot and could have tied the score, and it could be a different hockey game out there tonight.
Cliff, who do you think has made the difference to the Chicago attack tonight, or do you think it's a team effort?
Well, I think it's a good team effort. Everybody's playing well, but I think the player that has picked up is Pierre Pilote. He was the leading scorer for the Chicago team last year in the playoffs, and he's got 2 assists out there tonight, and he seems to be taking charge tonight. He's charging with the puck, and in the first few games in Chicago, in Toronto, pardon me, the Chicago team seemed to be waiting to find a leader, and were winning. It looked to me as though they were waiting for Bobby Hull to lead them, and the other players were laying back. But tonight, everybody's going. Makita is skating much better tonight than he was in Toronto, and Pilote is charging and making plays, and I think that's been the big difference. He could have. There was another nice play he made to Murray Balfour there near the end of the period, which could have made the score 3-0, but Bauer made a fine save on the play.
Cliff, do you think there's been an outstanding player in the series so far, a take-charge leader type of person?
Well, yes, I think that, in my opinion, the outstanding player for Toronto has been Tim Horton, the defenseman. I thought he played a standout game in Toronto the other night. And Bobby Hull, of course, is the workhorse of the Chicago Blackhawks. And Glenn Hull, I think he's playing terrific hockey for the Blackhawks.
Fine. Thank you very much, Cliff Pennington. Thanks also to our other guests. In just a moment, we go up top to Bill Hewitt in a play-by-play of the third period.
It's almost the end of another season of NHL hockey. It's been good hockey, brought to you by your Imperial Esso dealer. A good man to do business with all year round. Whatever the season, he offers the right products at the right prices. Now, this includes gasolines. He sells the Esso brand. It's his personal choice. He'd like it to be yours, too. But right now, in many parts of Canada, he faces tough price competition. But even here, he sells Esso and Esso Extra with confidence because he recognizes that it's the value you get with a good brand that saves you money in the long run. He knows the value of his brand, the research and manufacturing skill behind it, the other unseen benefits like Essomatic credit and the Esso touring service. These he doesn't discount. He knows you won't either, because they guarantee your satisfaction and remain possible through your continued patronage. Right products, right prices, together with a genuine desire to give good service. These are foundations of his business. If you've enjoyed hockey, stay right with the times with your Imperial Esso dealer this summer. Happy Motors.
2-0 lead over the Toronto Maple Leafs. There was no scoring in the first period as the Blackhawks and the Maple Leafs fought it out, hammer and tong. Chicago outshot the Leafs in the first period 8-5, but both goalkeepers were very sound, and there were 2 penalties handed out, one to Hull for high sticking at 2:41, and Vaughn of the Leafs for charging at 7:06. They've had a little trouble with the net at the west end of the Chicago Stadium tonight for some reason. You're looking at the moment at the net at the east end, but the one at the other end has been giving them difficulty after they flooded the ice. Now they apparently have it under control, and they're all set for the teams now, who should be out momentarily for this third period. In the second period, the Chicago Blackhawks finally came through as Makita scored his 6th goal and 17th point from Pierre Pilote and Ab McDonald at 4:35 to give the Blackhawks a 1-0 lead. Then Ab McDonald took a perfect pass from Pierre Pilote after Hay had set up Pilote at 8:33, and it was 2-0. And that's the way it stands as we wait for the teams to come out for the third period. Shots on goal. Chicago outshot the Leafs in the second period 11-8. There were 5 penalties handed out by referee Eddie Powers in the second period. Fleming of Chicago and Horton of the Leafs for roughing at 2:03. Then Brewer of the Leafs for holding at 7:15. St. Laurent of Chicago for tripping at 8:51. And Shack of the Leafs for tripping at 14:55. There's the horn that indicates that the team should be out momentarily now for the third period. This is the third game of the Stanley Cup Finals. There are the Blackhawks coming out of their dressing room at the east end of the Chicago Stadium. And that's the area they'll defend for this third period. Toronto Maple Leafs will come out from the west end, and the telecast area is on the second balcony, south side of the Chicago Stadium. Here comes the referee, Eddie Powers, out on the ice. And now the Chicago Blackhawks make their appearance for the third period. Glenn Hall in goal. They lead 2-0. Makita and McDonald have been the goal scorers. Makita's 6th of the playoffs, and McDonald's 4th. The linesmen are Matt Pavlich and Neil Armstrong. And we're just waiting now for the Maple Leafs to come out for this third period. There's the sports timer on your screen. You can see the score 2-0, and there are banners all over the Chicago Stadium. They have one over on the first balcony, which says Mr. Goalie Glenn Hall, the greatest of them all, and Stan the Man, and Rake the Leafs, and Dolly Our Saint, which of course is reference to St. Laurent. Still waiting for the Leafs to come out. Ice has been very fast. Here comes Bauer now from the west end and goes right into the nets. Chicago Blackhawks are leading in this hockey game 2-0. Third game of the Stanley Cup Finals. Leafs won the first 2. And now the Blackhawks are fighting their way back into contention. much along the same lines that they did against the Montreal Canadiens by losing the first two and then going on to win 4 in a row. Referee Eddie Powers is calling the players to center ice. There's the whistle. It's very hazy. They're allowed to smoke in the Chicago Stadium. And now by this third period, as you can see on your screen, it is quite hazy from a distance. But the close-up cameras are able to get through it and give you a very vivid and clear picture. But from the balconies, it's quite hazy. All set now to start the third period. Horvath, Fleming, Nestorenko, Kelly, Mahavlich, and Stewart, Stanley and Horton, Evans, and Sanarov. On the face-off, it's Chicago clearing the puck into the Leaf zone. It goes wide of the Maple Leaf goal at the west end, and it's Stanley behind the net. Stanley to Mahavlich. He left the puck there. He ran into Fleming. Kelly comes up with it, a pass to Stewart over to Mahavlich, and it was stopped by Evans. Kelly carries on over the line, gets away from Evans, but he took it away from him. Clearing it out, it's shot back in again, offside. Face-off will be back at center ice. Horvath with Fleming and Nestorenko. Saint-Laurent and Evans. On the face-off, the puck goes back to the Chicago line. Fleming lost it to Kelly. Kelly trying to cut in, goes to the corner. Saint-Laurent rid him off into the boards. And the puck goes behind the net. Here's Stewart coming up with it. Passed it back to Horton. The shot was wide. Oh, left it for Saint-Laurent. Saint-Laurent was stopped by Mahavlich, but Nestorenko comes up with it. Ahead to Horvath at center ice, stopped by Stanley. Stanley turns, a pass back to Mahavlich. Mahavlich shot it over the line. Evans ran into Mahavlich. Horvath was hit by Stanley. Horton moves up, a pass over to Stewart. Stewart flicks the puck into the Chicago zone, but Saint-Laurent hit him. Nestorenko's pass hit a skate. Kelly turns, a pass to Horton over the line. Horton closing in, was stopped by Saint-Laurent. Horton trying to pass it out in front of the net. Fleming gets a hold of it. Nestorenko to Horvath. Up over the line. Offside. Offside at the Maple Leaf blue line. Nestorenko took the extra stride. He knew he was offside because he didn't even make a play, even though he was right in on goal. It was a neat play, but he just went that extra stride before he took the pass, and he has those long legs, and that extra stride puts him over the blue line offside. Hay, a pass to Balfour, is wearing a helmet over the line to Hay, number 11. Trying to roll it through, and Keon turns. Keon up the center ice. A long shot. Bounces. Glenn Hall stopped it. Vasco shot it into the corner. Duff skated him off. The puck is caught in the skate. Balfour tried to get it loose, and Keon covered him. Played about 1 minute and 36 seconds of the third period. Shack comes out now on the right wing with Keon and Duff. Vaughn and Brewer. On the face-off, Keon was knocked down, and it's up the ice for Vasco. Up over his own blue line to center. Shoots the puck into the Leaf zone, and it's Shack going back for it. Shack overskates the puck, gets it again, number 23. Bobby Hull took it away from him. The puck goes to the far boards. It's Pierre Palat, hit by Duff, but he still has it. Pass to Hay. Hay tried to get it out in front. Vaughn knocked it behind the goal. Brewer comes up with it for the Leafs. Being bumped. The puck goes over the line. Pierre Palat lost it to Keon. Keon goes over the Chicago line. Takes his shot. Glenn Hall caught it and holds it for a faceoff. And we play 2 minutes and 15 seconds of the third period. Chicago 2, Toronto Maple Leafs no score. Face-off is in the Chicago zone to the left, and it's Billy Harris with Shack and Duff. Harris gets it back to Shack. Shack takes his shot wide. Brewer moves up and takes a drive. It's right in front of the net, and Hay, a pass to Bobby Hull. Up over the line, takes his shot off Vaughn, and it deflects over the glass, and Shack bumps into Hull. And that nearly started something. Hull is talking to the referee. Face-off will be in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. The referee was consulting the linesman to decide which player the puck went over the glass off of, and it was a Leaf player, so the face-off is in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. Had it been a Chicago player, they would have brought it outside the blue line, and that's the reason for the delay. Now then, Melnick, Turner, and Balfour are on the forward line for Chicago. Shack and Balfour having a private feud at the edge of the circle. Puck is dropped. Turner took a shot. That hit a skate. Palat took a whack at it. Golfed it behind the Leaf goal. Bond off the boards. Shack and Melnick bump together. Shack goes to pick up his stick. Melnick and Shack off together. They were roughing one another. Shack will get a penalty along with Melnick. Score is 2-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Toronto penalty, Shack. 2 minutes for roughing. Chicago penalty, Melnick. 2 minutes for roughing at 2:42.
2:42 is the time of the roughing penalties to Shack and Melnick. The teams are playing five aside, and the face-off is in the same circle to the right of Bauer. It's Stewart and Mahavlich, Kelly and Horton. Makita with Nestorenko, Vasco and Palat. The puck goes back into the Chicago zone, and Palat is back for it. In the corner, a pass ahead to Nestorenko at his own blue line, up the center, up over the Leaf line. Kelly watches him, goes into the corner, behind the net, and Mahavlich takes it. Mahavlich away from Makita, up the center, takes his shot. That was just wide. Makita, a pass to Nestorenko, back to Palat. Palat on his own blue line, and Nestorenko at center ice, over the line, a pass to Palat. Bauer tipped it off to the side, and Kelly starts back with Horton. Horton races down the ice over the line, a pass back, and Nestorenko intercepted the pass. Back to Palat. Palat off the boards to center ice. Got it into the Leaf zone, and Horton goes back for it. And it'll be called for icing. And a face-off back in the Chicago zone to the left. This game is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium.
Travel right into spring, travel light into spring with an Esso travel bag.
Face-off in the Chicago zone to the left. Chicago 2. Toronto Maple Leafs no score. Coming up to the 4-minute mark in the third period. Bobby Hull, number 7, goes behind the Chicago net. A pass over to Evans. Evans, a pass over here to Hay. Hay, number 11. Lost it, but Saint Laurent carries on over the line. Pass to Hay, back to Hull, back to Hay. Hay pass it right in front of the net. Evans gets set, passes the open wing. Bobby Hull trying to set up Billy Hay. Back to Evans, and he shot it down the ice. Saint Laurent has to go back for it. Shot it, Keon kept it in. Kelly trying to center it, and Evans was in front of the net, and Hay clears it over to the far side. Keon chopped at it. Hay intercepts. A pass over for Bobby Hull, and Keon just tipped it at the last moment. Otherwise, Bobby Hull was on his way. Evans, a pass to Hay at center ice. Coming up to the Leaf blue line. Over he goes. He dropped it back. Evans brings it in offside. And the face-off will be outside the Maple Leaf blue line. And the checking is fierce and tight at the moment. Although the Hawks were opening up a little bit. We've played 4 minutes and 33 seconds of the third period. Chicago 2, Toronto Maple Leafs no score. On the faceoff, it comes back to Evans. Evans passes over here to Saint Laurent. Saint Laurent ahead to McDonald. Bond bumped into him. The puck rolled all the way to Bauer. And it's Brewer coming back. Brewer nearly lost it to Makita. Makita's got a skate on it. And Duff turns. Duff, a pass over to Armstrong. Armstrong back to Duff on the wing, and it was a delayed whistle on an offside, but they got it out. Here's a chance for Kenny Warham. Warham to McDonald, and it went to Armstrong of the Leafs. Armstrong, a flip pass out for Harris. Nikita turns back for Chicago to McDonald. Too far for him, and Duff gets to it first. Cleared into the corner to Armstrong. Armstrong is checked by Nikita. Nikita, in turn, was checked by Armstrong. McDonald trying to get it to Nikita. McDonald of Chicago in the corner. A pass to Nikita. He's jammed in on the boards. It's done in front of the net. Evans moves in with a shot. And he shot it wide. Ran into McDonald. And Harris turns for the Leafs. Harris up the center ice. Over the Chicago line. Trying to cut around Evans. He passed it right in front of the net. Duff couldn't get the rebound. And McDonald comes back with Warham. Up over the line. McDonald's pass was stopped by Armstrong of the Leafs, who turns right back, and now they're starting to open up a bit. Nikita checked Armstrong. Armstrong trying to get it back. Nikita doesn't let him, gives it to Hull. Hull turns in the Leaf zone to Nikita. Shot right on goal. And Bauer stopped that. Sailor all lets a hot one go. And that was stopped by Bauer at the last moment as it deflected towards the open corner. Armstrong of the Leafs flicks it, but not out. Here's Nikita. Back to Bobby Hull. He took a shot, and Brewer intercepts. Back up the ice with Harris, who takes the pass over the line. Back for Brewer. Brewer was checked by Hay. Hay gets over the line and takes a shot. Bauer caught that. Havlich starts down the ice for the Leafs. To center ice. Over the Chicago line. Takes his shot wide. Gets the rebound. Passes it back. There's nobody there, and Hay goes back for Chicago. Up over the Leaf line. Fanned on a shot. Took a backhand that was wide. Bobby Hull ran into Stanley, and Bauer shoots it off the boards to Mahavlich. He passed it. Stanley broke it up. Pierre Palat fell. Mahavlich gets a chance with Stewart. One man back. They're closing in. Mahavlich took a shot, and it was caught by Glenn Hall. And he holds on to it. And they've played 7 minutes. And about 13 seconds of the third period. Chicago 2. Toronto Maple Leafs, no score. Face-off will be in the Chicago zone to the right. Horvath out there on the forward line now with Fleming. Vasco. Now then, Nikita, McDonald, and Warham come back out again, and they've seen an awful lot of duty tonight. All set for the face-off. Holford to Nevin. Nevin keeps the puck in by shooting into the corner in the Chicago zone. Elmer Vasco, the moose back for it, cleared into the corner in his own zone. Warham jams Shack into the boards. And it's back for Chicago. 3 of them up. Vasco, a drop pass from Nikita to McDonald. A shot. Bauer made the save. Shack poked it out to center ice. And hit the referee, Eddie Powers. Vasco shoots it over the line. Horton failed to get it out. Warham to Nikita. Nikita took his shot, and he shot it way up into the Blues, at least up into the seats. And it was caught by a spectator. And that's the second mezzanine, which is like the end Blues at Maple Leaf Gardens. They have 2 sets of mezzanine and then 2 balconies. And the second mezzanine would be like the end Blues at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. It's 2-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks here at the Chicago Stadium, and it's Brewer at his own blue line, up the center ice. Up over the Chicago line. Working his way through, was taken out of the play by Vasco. Nikita to McDonald, stopped by Nevin. Nevin is turned around. Brewer tried the center right in front of the net, and Shack took a whack at it, and Glenn Hall made the save. Nevin took a whack at it again. Vasco clearing it down the ice, and it's right on the net. And we've passed the 8:15 mark of the third period. The score, 2-0 for Chicago, as Warham to Pierre Palat to Nikita. Nikita getting in on the right wing, passed it in front, lost his glove. Fulford trying to bring it out. Fulford with Shack over the line. Shack took the pass. He's hit. Nevin closes in with a pass, and it's stopped by Palat. Then Vasco is bumped by Shack. Warren gets it ahead to Makita's shot. Bauer stopped that. Nevin turns and comes back for the Leafs. Ran into Pierre Palat and was knocked down. Back up the ice for Hull. Over the Leaf line. He's knocked down. And they're really starting to hit one another. Back up for Stanley. With Duff. Duff takes the pass. Duff stops. Passed it right in front of the net. Stanley took a whack at it. Bobby Hull comes up with it. Alfer was hit by Duff. Puck goes out to center ice, and Horton goes back for it. Horton picks an opening and shoots it out over the blue line, but Hay gets to it first for Chicago. A pass over to Balfour on the right wing. Stopped by Stanley to Duff. Duff checked by Hay. Duff fights for it and comes up with it again. Duff gets away from Hay, then Balfour. Down the left wing, a pass to Keon. Over the line with Armstrong. They're closing in. Keon takes his shot wide. Duff cleared it back to Keon. Keon let it go. Armstrong races after it. Centers it back. There's nobody there. Balfour gets a break for Chicago over the line with Hull. Balfour goes in, takes the shot. And Bauer stopped that, and Duff comes back. Armstrong takes his pass over the line. Here comes the shot, and Glenn Hall caught it. Goes back into the corner. Horton had moved up. Bobby Hull trying to get away. Gets down the left wing, and he couldn't get any further than center ice. Keon turns for the Leafs. Back up to the Chicago line. Over he goes. Saint-Laurent got a piece of him. And then Evans cleared it out to center ice, only to have Horton take it away from Horvath. A pass to Mahavlich to Keon. He left it there. Stewart trying to get loose. Stewart of the Leafs passed it in front of the net, and it deflects past Keon. Mahavlich shot it back. Nesterenko cleared it to the blue line and out. Here's a two-man break for Chicago. One man back. Bobby Hull and a pass to Horvath and back to Hull. And they lost it. Here's Horvath coming again. And he lost it again. Brewer is checked by Horvath the third time. It's right in front of Bobby Hull, a shot. And Horton stopped that one. It's passed in front of the net again. And it goes over to Mahavlich. Mahavlich is checked by Nesterenko. Stewart to Mahavlich. Mahavlich couldn't get away. Nesterenko chops the puck into the Leaf zone, and Bauer leaves it for Mahavlich. 8 minutes and 45 seconds as Fleming gets a break offside. Offside at the Leaf blue line. This game is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium.
For every industry, Imperial Esso products are right with the times.
Eight minutes and 44 seconds remaining in regulation time. Chicago 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs, no score. All set for the faceoff outside the Maple Leaf blue line. Brewer over getting a new stick at the Maple Leaf bench. All set to go. The puck is dropped. It comes back to Vasco. Vasco shoots it into the Leaf zone off the boards. Brewer picks it up. Brewer, a pass to Bond. Bond cleared it over on the left wing to Mahavlich. Mahavlich out for Kelly. Too far. It went down the ice. It's going over the red line. It'll be touched by Vasco. Icing. 8 minutes and 27 seconds remaining in the third period in regulation time. Score is 2-0 in favor of the Chicago Blackhawks. And the way these teams have been flying up and down the ice the last 4 or 5 minutes, the fog seems to be lifting. Face-off is in the Maple Leaf zone to the left. Makita with Kenny Warm and Ab McDonald. Pierre Palat and Elmer Vasco inside the blue line. The Leafs have Horton, Stanley, Bob Pulford, Eddie Shack, Bob Nevin. On the face-off, puck is kicked loose. Here's a chance for McDonald. He took his shot. Bauer stopped that. Hits right in front of the net. Comes back to the blue line. Vasco offside. Offside, just by a fraction of an inch. And that was called by the linesman, who was right there on the spot. Neil Armstrong, he was actually bending down on one knee, just making sure. And it was that close. All set for the face-off outside the Leaf blue line near the Maple Leaf players' bench. Maple Leafs in white, of course, and the Blackhawks in the dark sweaters. Up for Nevin. Nevin shoots the puck in and bounces behind the Chicago net. Shack goes after it, ran into McDonald. Fulford. Shack goes racing after it, ran into Pierre Palat. It's clear to the blue line. Horton keeps it in. Here's a chance for Fulford. Fulford of the Leafs trying to get a shot. It's right in front of the net. And it comes back to the blue line and out to center ice. Horton over to Stanley. Stanley shoots the puck into the Chicago zone and ends up in the corner. Basco, a clearing pass to Warham. Warham was stopped by Nevin, who shot it back into the corner again. Palat is back for it for Chicago. A pass to McDonald, hit the back of his skate. Horton takes a shot. Glenn Hall stopped that. Pierre Palat, a pass to Makita. Stopped by Horton. Horton brings it offside. Nevin couldn't get out in time. And the face-off is outside the Chicago blue line. 7 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the third period. 2-0 for Chicago. Third game of the Stanley Cup Finals here at the Chicago Stadium. Before a capacity crowd, and they are jammed all over the place. They're even standing up on the girders. All set for the face-off. Outside the Chicago blue line. Hay, Balfour, and Bobby Hull. Pierre Palat, at least Dollar Saint Laurent now out there on the defense, number 19, and Jack Evans, number 5. On the face-off, it goes over to Evans, number 5. He clears it off the boards to center ice. Hay clears the puck into the Maple Leaf zone, and back for it goes Kelly. Kelly behind the Leaf goal. Clearing pass over to Duff. Duff down the left side to center ice. Rolls it into the Chicago zone. Cleared in behind the net. Stopped partially by Armstrong. Bobby Hull couldn't get it out. And Kelly a pass for Armstrong. Armstrong is tied up by Bobby Hull. They go against the boards. They try to hold it there. It goes loose. Armstrong fighting for it. Comes up with it. Keeps it in the Chicago zone. A pass over for Harris. And Evans breaks it up and clears it out to center ice. Over to Duff again, over the blue line. He shoots one that's deflected wide of the Chicago net. Stanley passed into the corner. Bobby Hull tries to get it out. Kelly playing up, took a backhand that goes to the opposite side. Evans trying to get out. Duff bumps into him. Harris, a pass hits the side of the net, cleared by Duff into the corner. Armstrong and Balfour go after it against the boards. They hold it there, and there's no further play, and there's a face-off in the Chicago zone to the left. And this game is coming to you direct from the Chicago Stadium.
For every industry, Imperial SO products are right with the times.
In Chicago, 2. Toronto Maple Leafs, no score. With 6 minutes and about 20 seconds remaining in regulation time. All set for the face-off in the Chicago zone to the left. Puck is dropped. Keon's able to get the draw. Fleming hooks it out to Nesterenko. One man back. Nesterenko was checked from behind by Horton. Bauer shoots the puck into the corner to Mahavlich. Mahavlich just shot it out to center ice. Basco waiting there. Shoots it right back into the Maple Leaf zone, and Horton goes back for it. Horton watched by Horvath. It's Keon off the boards for Mahavlich. Back to Stewart. Back to Keon. Up over the line. Keon was stopped by Vasco. The Stewart tries to keep it in the corner. Palat covered. Mahavlich goes after him, and they all jam there for a face-off. 5 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in regulation time. Chicago 2. Toronto Maple Leafs, no score. Face-off in the Chicago zone to the left. On the face-off, Keon falls. Horvath comes up with the puck, flipped it to Palat. Palat and Nesterenko combine. A pass to Nesterenko at center ice. Fleming on his left. Nesterenko goes into the corner. Being watched by Stanley. They jam against the boards. Fleming gets the puck loose. Pass the red front to Horvath, and he fanned on his shot. Keon gets it out with a pass to Stewart on the right wing to center. Tried to go over the line. Stopped by Vasco. A pass to Horvath to Nestorenko. Up over the leaf line. Mahavlich bumped into him. Nestorenko fights for it. Passed it, and Mahavlich cleared it behind the net into the corner of the opposite side to Stanley. Stanley, a long pass off the board. Stopped by Palat. Palat of Chicago goes over the leaf line. There's four of them closing in now. A pass for Nestorenko. He passed right in front of it to Horvath, and that was stopped by Stewart. It fell in front of it. Horvath gets it again for Chicago. Pass it back to Vasco. Vasco shoots it around behind the net, but it never reached there as Horton stabbed it to Stewart. Stopped by Fleming. Fleming a pass to Nestorenko. Right it on goal, and his shot hit Stanley. Stewart of the Leafs comes out. A long pass for Stanley. He takes his shot off the board. Shack came after it. Number 23. He's hit it, knocked into the boards by Nestorenko. Horvath, a long pass for Fleming, and Stewart knocks him off to the side. Fleming comes up with it, though. A pass for Makita, and Bauer came out of his net to cover the loose puck. Makita, pass in front, stopped by Horton. Horton to Nevin. Nevin down the right wing, over the blue line. Takes his shot high off the glass. Makita, flip pass for Warham. He was hit by Bond. And Brewer golfed it out. Warham ran into Pulford. Nevin couldn't get away. Warham gets back over the leaf line. A pass to Fleming. Fleming took his shot, was knocked down by Shack. There's going to be a penalty there to Shack. Number 23, Shack of the Leafs, will get a penalty. Shack of the Leafs in the penalty box, number 23.
Toronto penalty.
Chicago, the
Shack.
man advantage.
2 minutes for charging.
Charging
16,
penalty.
14.
16-14. Chicago 2, Toronto Maple Leafs no score. Maple Leafs shorthanded. Chicago Blackhawks in manpower, 6 men to 5. We're at the 16-14 mark of the third period and regulation time. Lee Hay and Makita, Bobby Hull, Vasco and Palat. On the faceoff, it comes back to Palat. Palat passed it right to Nevin, and Nevin goes down the ice for the Leafs, number 11. Over the line, takes his shot. Glenn Hall missed it, but it was over top of the net. Passed over to Makita. Makita couldn't get out, and Palat gets it out to Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull back to Hay. Hay with Hull over the line. Hull takes his shot. That hit Vaughn. Bauer comes out of the net, hands it to Hull. Hull tries to center it, and Pulford clears it to the blue line, but not out. Here Palat clears it into the corner. It slides in behind the net. Hay back to Makita. Pulford intercepted the pass. Pulford turns and shoots it down the ice. And we have 3 minutes remaining in regulation time. 2-0 the score for the Chicago Blackhawks. Bobby Hull passes back to Pierre Palat. Out on the wing to Hay. Hay back to Hull. Up over the leaf line. Bobby Hull took a shot and hit Vaughn. Another shot came out in front. Makita gets it back to Vasco. Vasco shoots it back to Makita. Makita took a shot that hit Vaughn. Hull has it in the corner. Takes his shot across the goal mouth. Palat back at the blue line. Into Hay. Hay fanned on his first try. Then shot it right to Armstrong of the Leafs, who goes up the center ice. Over the line, tried to go through Vasco. Vasco missed him with a check, but Palat covered up. 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in regulation time. 2-0 for the Blackhawks. Up for Hay, a pass to Hull. Over the blue line. A drop pass, Keon intercepts, but then Hay skates him off. Keon turns again. Up the center, up over the Chicago line. Skates back to center ice. Tries to go over again. Armstrong helping him out. Bobby Hull bumped into him. Armstrong was checked by Horvath. Horvath down the right wing for Chicago to center ice. Up over the blue line. Trying to cut in. Armstrong scraped him and turned him around. And Kelly shot the puck down the ice. 1 minute and about 40 seconds as Shack had returned to the lineup, and it's called icing. So we have a minute and about 40 seconds remaining in regulation time. 2-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks here at the Chicago Stadium. Face off in the Maple Leaf zone to the left of Bauer. Mahavlich with Kelly and Stewart, Horton and Harris. Horvath, number 9, with Fleming, Nestorenko, St. Laurent, and Evans. All set to go for the face-off in the Maple Leaf zone. Bauer all ready to go now after talking to the referee. They drop the puck. It comes back to the blue line. St. Laurent let it go out. Nestorenko just waits for his teammates to get onside, shoots the puck back in. They're even now. Jack has returned after serving his penalty for charging. It's Kelly of the Leafs in front of his own net. A long pass for Harris. Harris with Mahavlich and Stewart. They shoot the puck into the Chicago zone. Harris moves up, trying to center it. He's hit by Evans. Puck comes back to Horton. It goes out over the blue line, and up the ice comes Nestorenko. Getting in front, takes a shot. Bauer stopped that. Horvath was knocked out. Less than a minute to go as Harris shoots the puck into the Chicago zone. Glenn Hall came out of the net, was bumped by Mahavlich. The net is empty at the other end. The Leafs are using 6 attackers. It's Nestorenko grabbing the puck. It's a pass to Horvath. He takes his shot, and it's shot wide. It's another shot. Score! Horvath into the empty net. That makes it 3-0. And they'll have to clean off the ice. All the attendants come out on the ice. Here come some more fedoras. Waiting for the official announcement on Horvath's
Chicago goal by Bronco Horvath.
That's his 4th of the
Assisted
playoffs.
by Swoop Nestorenko at 19:21.
19:21. 19:21 is the official time of Horvath's goal from Nestorenko into the empty net. And it came with the Leafs trying to use 6 attackers and trailing 2-0. They gambled, and it backfired.
Tuesday night Stanley Cup game will be broadcast over radio station WGN 720 on your dial. And for those of you who have any doubt, Thursday night's game in
It's
Toronto.
3-0 now for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Channel 9 at 7 p.m.
There was no scoring in the first period. In the second, Makita from Palat and McDonald at 4:35 made it 1-0. And McDonald from Palat and Hay at 8:33, 2-0. Now then, the Leafs are talking to the referee. Now they're giving Duff a 10-minute misconduct. A 10-minute misconduct to Dick Duff for the Maple Leafs.
Penalty. Dickie Duff, 10-minute misconduct penalty.
19:21. And then, of course, in this third period, into the empty net at 19:21, Bronco Horvath 4th from Nestorenko. And from the face-off, the puck goes back into the Chicago zone. St. Laurent trying to get it out. It's Turner getting away from Litzenberger down the right wing. Nevin after him, checks him, and Litzenberger turns. Pass it back to Bond. Bond at his own blue line. A pass to Harris. Stopped by Turner. 15 seconds left to go. Turner watched by Litzenberger. And they call it for a face-off outside the blue line. And there's about 12 seconds left. 3-0 for the Chicago Blackhawks. All set to go. Puck goes back into the Chicago zone. 5 seconds left. It goes out to center ice. A long shot by Fleming. Brewer goes after 1 second. The game is over. And the players all getting into a bit of a scramble over near the Leaf bench. Players all hammering one another. Now they've stopped. It's all over. And the Chicago Blackhawks have defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs 3-0 and have picked up their first victory in the Stanley Cup Finals. And so the final score in tonight's game, the Chicago Blackhawks 3, the Toronto Maple Leafs no score.
Now back in the days when this car was the latest, you bought your gasoline here. And Imperial made that gasoline the best buy on the market, and they've worked and made it better every year. Well, today's cars have the power that was dreamed of in those old days, and oil research has helped those dreams come true. That 1930 gasoline would shake your car to pieces, though all the fuels may look the same to you. Today's cars have more power because they squeeze the fuels much harder, and the fuels they use have got to stand the shock. Imperial Oil Research kept ahead of all the others, so your new car's engine wouldn't knock. To make SO gasolines, they rearrange the crude oil atoms in modern plants that raise the octane high. They take chemicals and blend them with what the plants deliver, making SO fuels the finest you can buy. Imperial's built this test bed where cars run on rollers while every kind of problem is applied. Because cars are very different in the kind of fuel they call for, and every car's performance is a guide. Imperial Oil Research is working for the future while engine efficiency climbs. And the cars of tomorrow will run on SO products that are right with the times.
Imperial Oil, first in Canada in petroleum product research.
Ward Cornell with Gump Worsley, who will pick and talk to the Stars tonight. Gump, number one?
Well, my number one star is Glenn Hall, who played a great game, and to get a shutout in a playoff is a feat in itself. Glenn, how do you feel about that victory?
Well, I think that the whole club played real well, Gumpy. We had the best game we've had in the series so far. We looked like the team that beat Montreal, and I think it might give us a lot of life, and we might come back.
Well, good luck in the rest of the series, Glenn.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Glenn. That was the first star, and your second star, Gump?
John Bauer. Even in defeat, John played well, and I think without John tonight that the Maple Leafs would have been in bad shape.
Well, let's go down to the Leaf dressing room and Ed Pitkin and Johnny Bauer.
And now here's Gump Worsley's number two star, Johnny Bauer. Johnny, that was a tough game. I suppose the Chicago Ice made quite a bit of difference.
Well, the fans, as you know, are very rapid here, Eddie, and I think the best team won tonight. I think they checked real well. They got right on top of us, and we didn't get very many good shots at Glenn, although he played a terrific game, in my opinion, but I think I just hope we play a lot better than the next game.
Thank you very much, Johnny Bauer. And now here's Ward Cornell and Gump Worsley.
And Gump, number three.
My third star is Dollard St. Laurent, who I thought played an outstanding game. He was throwing his body around, and he slowed up the Leafs considerably and gave them a chance for Chicago to take over that game. Dollard, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm very glad we won this game, Gump, but I think it was a case of do or die, and I think the boys played very well. The goaler played a hell of a game, I'd say, and I think we're starting to move a little better. We had a tough series against Montreal. We had two sort of funny games in Toronto, but I think we're starting to pick up a little, Gump. I don't think any of the boys are tired, and I think we'll keep her going. I hope so anyway.
Well, good. Good luck to you, Dolly. We'll see we'll get back home.
Thank you very much.
So those are the three stars. Glenn Hall, Johnny Bauer, Dollard St. Laurent. Our thanks to you, Gump, for your selections and your reasoning.
Thanks, Ward.
Now it's up top to Foster Hewitt. and his summary of the... Hold on, we're not ready to go yet. We got a second. Would you want any honorable mentions?
Well, I think Makita played well, and Pierre Pilote played well. The Leafs, it's tough to pick the Leafs. They weren't skating, and Chicago were beating them to the puck at every chance, and I think that was the whole game right there, Ward. That Chicago out-hustled the Leafs and beat them to the puck.
And out-muscled them on those checks.
That's right.
Right? Thank you again, Gump, and now it's to Foster Hewitt.
The Chicago Blackhawks had their innings tonight. They went on that ice with all the determination that Rudy Pillis said that they would show on Chicago ice, and they started to show their supremacy over the Toronto Maple Leafs in that second period when they were able to score 2 goals. They fought hard in the third period to add to that total. The Leafs fought hard to hold them off, but the power of the Chicago team tonight was irresistible, and the Leafs just couldn't cope with them. I thought that Johnny Bauer played a tremendous game in goal to keep that score in reasonable proportions. Of course, the Leafs had their opportunities too, but they were being hurried on every play, and as a result, they didn't get too many opportunities, and when they did, Hall was right on the job to block them. Now, the shots on goal are rather of interest in that the Chicago Blackhawks outshot the Toronto Maple Leafs 33-19. Once again, the final score in tonight's game, Chicago Blackhawks 3, Toronto Maple Leafs no score. Now here's your Imperial Esso dealer, Murray Westgate.
If you're in the market for tires, take advantage of your neighborhood Imperial Esso dealer's new low prices on all Atlas tires. And be with us again on Tuesday night for the 4th exciting game in the battle for the Stanley Cup. Until then, this is Murray Westgate wishing you good night and happy motoring.
This is the CBC Television Network.